President Trump describes as garbage Iran's response to a U.S. peace proposal.
It was just unacceptable.
So where do we go from here?
You know, a lot of people said, well, does he have a plan? Yeah, of course I do have a plan. I have the best plan ever. Iran has been defeated militarily, totally. They have a little left. They probably built up during this period of time. We'll knock that out in about a day.
Many questions remain about Iran's demands. Outwardly, Tehran remains defiant.
The exact details of the proposal have not been made public, but Iranian state media had earlier reported that they included the U.S. paying war reparations to Iran and recognizing its sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. Posting in English on social media, Iran's parliamentary speaker Mohammad Bagir Ghalibaf said that the U.S. had no alternative but to accept the 14-point proposal. He said the longer the U.S. dragged its feet, the more American taxpayers would pay for it. Both sides are digging in.
The BBC's Caroline Davis. President Trump wants to suspend the federal gasoline tax of 18.4 cents per gallon. That move would require congressional approval. Today's national average for a gallon of regular, $4.50. It's down 2 cents from yesterday, according to AAA. Today will bring release of the Consumer Price Index for April. The general consensus among economists is that it will show prices rose 3.8% from 1 year ago. 2 drivers are hospitalized in critical condition, shot by a gunman who opened fire yesterday on a busy highway in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Came to an end when a state trooper and a civilian with a license to carry fired on the gunman. He's hospitalized in critical condition. Stock futures in the red this morning on Wall Street. The Dow futures down 63 points. NASDAQ futures off just over 200 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
If you're considering investing in precious metals, don't wait. The Iranian conflict seems to be nearing an end, and the time is now to position your retirement for massive growth. Advantage Gold is America's #1 precious metals company, and they want to send you a free gold and silver investor guide valued at $49 when you call 800-900-8000. Plus, you'll get a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Our specialists can help you open a new account or transfer funds from an existing IRA, tax and penalty free, and show you how a gold-backed IRA can put real, tangible assets into your retirement portfolio. Markets react to news cycles, but gold has maintained its value through inflation, volatility, and economic uncertainty. When the purchasing power of the dollar declines, that's when investors turn to gold and silver. Make your move now. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Results may vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
The SPLC is under increasing scrutiny.
The Alabama Attorney General announcing a civil investigation into the Southern Poverty Law Center's fundraising practices. This follows the recent federal indictment of the organization. The AG said he sent a subpoena seeking information about its donations and payments to informants, and that he's seeking to determine if the organization violated state laws related to charitable organizations or deceptive trade practices. President Trump's DOJ already announced a criminal indictment against the SPLC, accusing it of fraud. The center's officials have vehemently denied the accusation. I'm Julie Walker.
Miners in Myanmar have discovered a massive ruby, considered to be the second largest by weight ever found in the country. The ruby weighs 11,000 carats, unearthed in mid-April. Although it weighs much less than a stone found in 1996, it's considered more valuable because of its superior color and quality. Townhall.com. The Beatles are returning to one of their iconic sites for the new fan experience in London.
Apple Corps, the company founded by the Beatles, will open a 7-floor attraction at their early headquarters in 2027. The building is where the album Let It Be was recorded, and the rooftop, the site of the Beatles' last public performance. Fans will have access to the venue. In the meantime, both Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr have expressed excitement about the project. Jason Walker reporting.
Treasury Department wants America's banks to monitor suspected Iranian money laundering networks using funds to smuggle sanctioned oil through shell companies and crypto networks. The move aims to disrupt Iran's sanctions evasion infrastructure. The Trump administration calling on banks to flag customers who may launder funds for Iran's Revolutionary Guard. More on these stories at townhall.com.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Hey parents, plan an unforgettable summer. Send your kids to Rapid Ann Baptist Camp in Rochelle, Virginia. 1 week of nonstop fun and life-changing truth. Amazing preachers, friendly counselors, exciting activities. Ride an alpine coaster and zip line, a 250-foot water slide, and that's just the beginning. Junior camps for ages 7 to 12, teen camps for 13 to 18, 2-day Pee-wee camp with mom and dad for ages 4 to 8, and a brand new day camp option. Sign up today at camprapidan.com. That's camprapidan.com. Rapid Ann Baptist Camp, where faith and fun collide.
This is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. We got a wonderful email from one of our customers up east named Joe, and here's what he had to say. I started taking Solti almost out of desperation with little hope because I was resigned to the futility that although I was up to taking 2 statins a day, high cholesterol was something I just had to learn to live with. In fact, when I turned 60, after taking a stress cardio test, my doctor called me on a Saturday, which of course is never a good sign, and told me that I was clogged more than 95% of the people my age. I had an angioplasty and a stent procedure done at that time. Today, my stubborn triglycerides are only 1/3 of what they had been before starting taking Solti. My prescription statin dosage has shrunk from 60 milligrams to only 10 milligrams a day. My primary care doctor that I have had for many years still can't believe the results, and neither can I. Thank you, Solti, for providing such a wonderful product. And folks, I want to invite you to take care of your heart also by going to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. Use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% discount on your initial shipment. Thanks so much.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Happy Tuesday morning, listening family. This is the John Fredericks Media Network. I'm Dan Hobgood. Time for a look at weather and sports, and we have a beautiful day ahead across the network. We'll start with where I am in Richmond, Virginia, where the high today will be a glorious 73 degrees, low of 52 tonight, partly cloudy. Right now the temperature is 41. Squirrels in Erie to play the Seawolves tonight. First pitch at 6:05. Moving on to D.C., the high will be 71, a low of 56 and partly cloudy. Right now the temperature is 46 degrees. Nats on the road in Cincinnati to take on the Reds. First pitch there will be 6:40 p.m. Atlanta The Braves begin a series against the streaking Cubs tonight. First pitch 7:15 p.m. In the meantime, the high will be 75 degrees, a low tonight of 58 and clear. Right now, the temperature is 63 degrees. Nashville, part of the regular rotation now. High today in Nashville of 79, a low of 58 and mostly cloudy. Right now, the temperature in Tennessee, 47 degrees. Philadelphia, well, the Phils are on the road for interleague play against the Bo Sox. Tonight, the first pitch will be at 6:45. The high in the city of brotherly love today will be 69, a low of 53 and partly cloudy. Right now, the temperature is 49 degrees. Morgantown, high today 75, a low of 56 with a late shower almost toward tomorrow's dawn. 44 degrees is the high, or is the temperature, right now in, by God, West Virginia. All right, Yinzers, the Buccos begin a series tonight against the lowly Colorado Rockies. 6:40 p.m. is your first pitch. Paul Skeens, the best pitcher in the world, on the mound. High today of 71 in the 4-1-2, a low of 56 with a late shower, just like in Morgantown. Right now, the temperature is 41 degrees, and for those paying attention, Aaron Rodgers' watch continues in Pittsburgh. Bringing you today's weather and sports update is the Godzilla Wins radio show. For the best insight, analysis, and picks, watch and listen to Godzilla Wins Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 all across the John Fredericks Media Network. Plus, to get John's daily sports picks, go to GodzillaWins.com. Once again, that's GodzillaWins.com. This has been your Gorilla of Truth, your deplorable of the Oracles, Dan Hobgood for the John Fredericks Media Network. Outside the Box with the Ox is next, followed by the Godzilla of Truth, the Oracle of the Deplorables, the one and only John Fredericks on the John Fredericks Show. Stay tuned, everyone.
5 miles, 47 blocks of interconnected floors and bridges. A group called Friends of the St. Paul Skyways released a survey this week on how people use them. Incidentally, neighboring Minneapolis boasts the largest contiguous system of enclosed second-level bridges in the world, 10 miles connecting around 80 city blocks. From the Meet Minneapolis website. Using the St. Paul data, 95% of respondents who use the Skyways called them essential. 71% use them weekly or more. 76% use it for dining. 61% use them for walking exercise. Over half say they've used them for the past 5 years or more. Though lately the negatives have been racking up, they are almost entirely complaining about all the closed businesses, emptiness, and lack of stuff there, largely due to COVID. Well, we love the indoor climate-controlled comfort, evidenced also by our largest indoor mall in America and $2 billion new indoor stadium. There is the exception of the new outdoor Twins Target Field, but we only go there in nice weather. Cloudy, windy, or cold days, and early and late season games, it's dress up like an empty chair day by and large. 50,000 plus of us winter in Arizona and Florida, and MSP Airport served 36,071,627 passengers in 2025. So while politicians keep saying how we're all so proud to be Minnesotans, this data summarized from outside the box would best be quantified as what we do as Minnesotans to avoid Minnesota.
I will talk a lot, and I'm a knucklehead at times.
Here outside the box with the Ox in the Eastern Time Zone and now in West Virginia on the John Fredericks Media Network.
John Fredericks.
It is the most egregious thing I've seen in a lifetime.
President Trump.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
When politics start getting wild.
They want to have every single thing that you don't want. Raise taxes, men and women's sports. They're going to open up their border.
Trump hits the speed dial.
Thank you for calling in on such short notice.
You came first, John.
Wake up with the John Fredericks Show weekday morning, 6 Eastern, 5 Central on JFMN.TV, the massive J-Fred radio network, and all across the social.
You came first, John. Thank you very much, and you do a great job.
Right now, download the new WV Sports Nation app from the Apple Store or Google Play and get the entire Mountaineer sports world in the palm of your hand. Right now, get notified when new stories drop about your favorite Mountaineers teams and athletes. Download the WV Sports Nation app right now. Get updates on next-level Mountaineers like Weatherholt and Joe Mazzulla. All that and more right in your pocket right now. Download the new WV Sports Nation app from the Apple Store or Google Play. Download the app right now.
Live from the studios of the John Fredericks Media Network, it's the John Fredericks Show. Grab yourself a cup of 1775 coffee, sit back and get ready for the best 4 hours of talk radio in the universe. You can call our toll-free number at 888-480-5645 to talk to John. And now, here's the Godzilla of Truth, the Oracle of the Deplorables, the man who is 6 months to a year ahead of everyone but God himself, John Fredericks.
Well, you're on the John Fredericks Media Network and all our apps. It's great to have you with us. Hey, don't forget Roku. We're there too. Apple TV, just do your smart TV. Download the John Fredericks app. We're on Apple TV. We're in Roku. We're in, what else are we, Dan? Let's see, Fire Stick. And we got a new app coming out. We haven't figured it out yet, but it's coming. These things take time for us to think through, but you can also get us on jfmn.tv on your mobile device or your computer or your laptop or anything you want, jfmn.tv, plus all of our radio apps, plus all of our 23 signals around the East Coast. Anyway, great to have you with us. As always, Truth and Clarity lives here. Hey, it's great to have you with us. I love my 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. audience. You guys are the best. Got up early, slept in a little bit on Monday morning, Dan, as you know. Didn't get my rundown in. It's tough when you get up at 5:30 and you're supposed to get up at 3:45, which I did today. Got my push-ups in and ready to roll. And hey, our campaign's going great. Got a mailer going out. Got a big event coming up on June 16th. Dan's going to be there. So if you want to go and meet Dan, meet my team, Corey Lewandowski, Morgan Griffith, Brandon Beach, all of our team, we're all going to be there. Well, that's June 16th. That's at City Tavern, the iconic City Tavern. You know, George Washington apparently used to go there for a couple pops at the end of a very long day as president at the City Tavern, iconic place. That's in Georgetown, and that's going to be from 6 to 9 p.m. Now, here's a great thing about it. There's food, there's speakers, there's me, there's my team, and there's open bar. How you can't beat it. Tickets are only $50. So all you got to do is go to makedcgreat.com, makedcgreat.com, and you are good to go. I want to give a shout out to Timbo in Orlando. Tim Swope, thank you. You're a man of your word. He said to me, I will double my donation if the Supreme Court shoots down the Virginia gerrymandering, which he didn't think would happen. And of course he did. And true to his word, Timbo from Orlando, well, another donation comes right in yesterday. So that is good. Let's see. I got to put my glasses on, Dan, here to read your stuff here. Did you hear about the trouble Rick Herrera got into yesterday? Yikes. Rich Herrera? No. No, I didn't hear it. Give us a rundown before I get into my narrative, Danny.
Well, I guess I better be a little careful about what I say here, but
yeah, anything that's not confirmed is alleged, right?
Oh no, it's definitely confirmed. It absolutely happened. But
first of all, who is he? I don't remember.
The morning host on WRVA.
Oh yeah, okay. Well,
you heard about that?
I heard about that. I mean,
yeah.
he's a dumbass.
I'm going to leave. I didn't say that. I'm contractually obligated not to say that.
You're on Morning Drive Radio. You're with a congresswoman.
Yeah.
An elected official. Like, do you have a brain in your head? Go ahead and tell everybody what happened to Jen Kiggins.
Okay, these are not my words. These are not my words. I want to preface everything I said.
Rich Herrera, morning radio talk show host in Richmond on WRVA, your former debacle station.
So he was talking to Jen Kiggins about the redistricting efforts and everything that the Democrats were doing, and was talking about Hakeem Jeffries' participation or involvement in all of this, and said something to the effect of, "Well, if Hakeem Jeffries wants to have anything to do in Virginia, he needs to get himself down here. Otherwise, he needs to keep his, again, quote unquote, cotton picking hands off of Virginia politics or out of Virginia politics," and it's kind of gone viral since then.
And then what did Kiggins say?
She said, "That's right, yeah, ditto," something to that effect. So yeah, it's been a mess. It's been a bit of a mess.
Did she say it as well?
She did not say the words. She did not say the phrase. Yes, I am positive about that. So, okay. And it's out there on audio what was said and her response.
Let's get the audio.
Yeah, I'll track that down. I'll get it.
On the audio, look, the first part was fine, right? I think his position was, hey, if you want to weigh in on Virginia, first of all, it's stupid. He's trying to be speaker, so duh. But he says if you want to weigh in on Virginia, which he's already did, he spent $65 million of his PAC money, then you should move here and run for Congress. Okay, fine. I have no problem with that. Stupid, but fine. But then to say, what did he say again?
He said, "Keep your cotton-picking hands off of or out of Virginia or out of Virginia
Okay,
politics."
Yeah. Come on, man. I mean, you're in the middle of an election. I mean, how? Like, do you have a clue as to what's going on out there? Like, why would you say that? And I know that it's a phrase that gets thrown around, not in that particular venue, not with that meaning, but it gets thrown around. But to throw it around in this particular circumstance, I mean, if you're gonna have somebody on like this in a tight race, right? Don't do anything to hurt them. I mean, if you ask her tough questions like, okay, you voted for these 5 things that are rhino heaven. How are you going to get MAGA voters out to vote for you? Like, you can run those down, and that's a tough question. That's a tough question. And then she can answer it. I'm in a swing district. It's purple. You know, I'm with us 80% of the time, but here are my positions. You can ask tough questions, but to, do that. And now, if she was on top of her game, she would have disputed the comment immediately. But it's tough to do that when and she's by phone, right? Not on video there, right?
She was by phone.
So they do phone there. So and I always tell when my politicians don't want to do video, I always say, if you're running for election, do video, because you're simply not as comfortable. When you're chatting with somebody on the phone in your car, it becomes a conversation. You kind of forget you got texts coming in and, you're busy. You're on video, you got to stare at that camera. It's a little bit different, so you're on guard. Does that make sense? So that's why I always tell them, do the video. And I've had a lot of people come on with me on phone and it just gets comfortable. And that's fine if you're not running. If she was not running, if this was last year, like, it wouldn't have mattered. But by the time she's up again, nobody would have cared. But it's just a dumb thing.
She's issued a response, and I could put that up on the screen if you want to see it.
And find the audio so we know what's going on.
Yeah. So she wrote, this is precisely what's wrong with Democrats. Every lie and distortion is intended to distract from getting their hats handed to them, and the Virginia Supreme Court's clear message: stop trying to rig our elections. The radio host should not have used that language, and I do not and did not condone it. It was obvious to anyone listening that I was agreeing Hakeem Jeffries should stay out of Virginia. Democrats are trying to destroy Virginia's court because they disagree with it. That's the real danger to our country.
It's a good response. The Democrats are calling for her to resign and quit and, et cetera, calling her a racist. And, but that'll be the last time she goes on WRVA.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think she's going back on the morning show.
And I don't think anybody would after this because, the host has a responsibility,
to protect the guest.
Well, not necessarily protect them, but don't put them in that position where they have to dispute you. Now, I've been in positions where my guests have said crazy things. And, a couple of times I was distracted and didn't really challenge it. And I got hit pieces on me. I didn't say it. I didn't even respond to it. I just didn't do anything. I just went to the next topic. But, and I got, then the Media Matters or one of the left-wingers, Mother Jones, would do a hit piece on me that I didn't respond to it, that somebody said something dumb. Now, as big as we are, I don't do that. Somebody says something dumb, either cut them off or dispute it if it's not authentic or if it's alleged or something of that nature, or it's just dumb, and I don't do conspiracy. But it was just a poor choice of words, unprepared, and the guy knows better. I don't know how long he's been doing this, but he should know better. And you can't say that kind of stuff and put your congressperson in a position where they have to refute what you're saying. Like, done over, she would have said, hey, Rich, I don't think you should be in Virginia, but I really object to the metaphor you just did. I think that's offensive and racist, and I don't condone that. But it's tough on the phone to think like that, and because it is a phrase that that kind of has been kicked around. that's not always used in a racist manner. Does that make sense, Dan?
Yeah, no, I was saying yesterday when
get your cotton picking fingers out of the cookie jar, dude. I mean, people have said that.
Yeah,
but
it's a phrase he used before last year. I remember him saying that on the air previously. So
yeah, but you can't say it in a venue when you're describing
the
minority leader who's an African American.
No,
you just got to have some. You got to have some sense.
No, and I wish Kiggins had been thinking fast enough to say, I don't know if I'd put it like that, but yeah, I don't think Hakeem Jeffries should be getting involved in Virginia politics. I mean, that would have, even that I think would have avoided the
and to be honest with you, I don't even agree with the concept. I mean, he's got every right to get involved in Virginia politics. He's a minority leader, and he's trying to, get seats. So he's got every right to do that. He's got every right to get involved in any state because, like, whether it's Florida, Virginia, or California, because he's trying to get, he's trying to win these seats and become speaker. So it's part of the game. So I get that.
That is part of the game. Yep.
But it's fine to say, I mean, I love the line, hey, if you want to be Impact Virginia, why don't you move out of New York like everybody else and come here? I think that's what Kiggins said, which isn't a bad, comment, not a bad retort. But, yeah. So now, for no reason, she's got to deal with this.
Yeah. Well, I will track down the audio. I have it pretty quickly unavailable. So yeah, I'll get that. Have it for the next half hour.
Dan Hopgood, executive morning producer, bringing the heat. Bringing the heat.
Well,
Dan.
I was getting a lot of texts and phone calls very late last night about that. It's like, did you hear about what happened?
I saw it when I don't know who texted it to me. Maybe it was you, but I got up. I go to bed early. I go to bed at 9, 8:30. I'm getting ready for bed. So I watched. I went to bed after the first period of the hockey game.
Avalanche and Wild, or
Avalanche and Wild. I bet the Avalanche. It was my best bet of the day. It was the only bet I made. So I bet the Avs. Another winner. I mean, I had the Ducks Sunday night. I had the Avs last night. I mean, if you're not following me on Godzilla Wins, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know. I'm giving these away free. People pay for these picks. Like, I could charge for these and probably have a side business. I don't, right? I don't want to get into that. I just don't have time. But I bet what I pick. I mean, when I'm picking those games, I'm betting those. I went with my cat to the, to my kiosk at the ABC store, whatever it's called, and I bet the Ducks Sunday night. I bet, what was it, the Avs last night? So I'm betting what's on there. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is. In fact, I had a guy last night, one of my clients, not going to tell you who, obviously, texted me and he's like, hey, I had a miserable weekend gambling, miserable. Give me a winner. I got to get a winner. I got to get out. Give me a winner. So I said, dude, go to GodzillaWins.com. Just go there now and don't look back. And then he's texting me, well, do you have any baseball? No. Do you have any NBA? No. Well, what about the over-under? I don't bet over-under. You tell me you want to get out, you make one bet, the one that I gave you, which was Avs money line. That's it. So, and I said, if you have to make a second bet, lay the goal in the half, because you'll get better odds, but that would only be a secondary bet. So winner, chicken dinner, go to GodzillaWins.com, GodzillaWins.com, and you're good to go. Dan, I'm hot as a pepper. When I get back, we've got Leanne O'Neill, Chief Legal Affairs Officer, America First Policy Institute, is coming up. We got a great lineup today. Don't forget the Texas Truth Line is going to be with us from 9 to 10, and we got Briscoe Cole running for Congress with my Texas Truth Line. 8:30 Chairman's Corner with Jason Simmons, North Carolina. That's going to be fun. 8 o'clock. I'm going backwards. Corey Lewandowski is going to be with us. Todd Sheets at 7. And Danny Boy, 7:30. My number one favorite pollster, Stephanie Buhala from the Heritage Foundation Action. We got a great show coming up. Great job numbers. That'll be my narrative yesterday when Dan threw me off with his Rich Herrera curveball. Danny, you can't make this stuff up, Danny. You can't make this stuff up. Dan used to be a WRVA. They fired him, and we hired him. How could they fire me since he's so great? They should have given you a raise, and then I wouldn't have had you. Danny Ball.
That would have been nice, but I'm glad to be here. This is great.
This is a better fit for you, Dan.
I love it here. Love it. So
Company,
thanks so much.
Better fit, more opportunity, more juice, more ability to be creative, more ability to run things, more ability to make suggestions and decisions on your own to build something special. That's why you're here.
Agreed.
Dan Hobgood. By the way, Dan's father, donor, John Fredericks for Chairman campaign, $200. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate you. Go to MakeDCGreat.com. You too can be one of our donors at MakeDCGreat.com. I'll be right back.
980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now. The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's the top news of the day.
This show knows things before anybody else is transmitting it. I said 5 minutes after we make a deal, the price of crude oils can go down $20 a barrel. Well, it went down $20 a barrel today.
It did.
15 days from now, and if it looks like we have a good deal, it'll go down another $20 a barrel.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
And that's a good sign for us, obviously, and for the free world.
What if those who were once called conspiracy theorists turn out to be right, again? A new study by Korean doctors claimed that COVID vaccines raise the risk of 6 cancers, including lung, breast, and prostate. Researchers analyzed health records from more than 8.4 million adults between 2021 and 2023, and their findings were published in Biomarker Research, a respected scientific journal. Critics dismiss it, but the data raises concern that spike protein exposure may be tied to long-term health risks. And Dr. Peter McCullough has been aware of this since 2020, which is why he collaborated with the wellness company to create Ultimate Spike Detox, designed to help your body clear spike proteins, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. With natural ingredients like nattokinase, dandelion root, and bromelain, it is your daily proactive defense from a man-made virus. Don't wait until symptoms strike or something unexpected happens. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. McCullough, one of the top doctors who risked it all. Go to twc.health/Godzilla. That's twc.health/Godzilla and use promo code Godzilla to get 10% off plus free shipping.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging supplements clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
President Trump and Buddy Carter are working to help Georgians keep more of what they earn by passing the largest tax cut in history, eliminating taxes on tips and overtime, and making the child tax credit permanent.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
From day one, Buddy Carter has stood with President Trump on his mission to make life more affordable for working families. But while President Trump and Buddy Carter were protecting our wallets, Congressman Mike Collins was abusing them. Congressman Collins is under federal investigation for misusing taxpayer funds to benefit himself and his cronies. According to the investigation report, Congressman Mike Collins, quote, may have violated federal law by shelling out government funds to one of his top aides. Georgia families have had enough of wasteful, corrupt career politicians. We just can't trust or afford Mike Collins. Paid for by Buddy Carter for Senate.
I'm Buddy Carter, and I approve this message.
That's how I feel. Damn sick and tired of getting out-rebounded. 25 offensive rebounds. First time we block out, we get called for a damn block out. We're pushing people. Meanwhile, they're on the other court grabbing rebounds, going over the top and grabbing them. We get one offensive rebound, the other we get called for over the back. We don't block out very damn well, and we're not getting called, one or the other. That's where I'm frustrated. That's where my whole frustration comes in, offensive rebounds. The entire thing came down to offensive rebound. They got every stinking offensive rebound, we didn't get one of them. What else do you want to know?
Don't touch that dial. You've found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
You're back in the John Fredericks Media Network, and I am your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables, truth and clarity, right here. Thanks for joining us today. Dan, did you get that audio up yet? You find that? You're still searching?
I found it. I'm still recording it and getting it loaded.
All right,
but I'll have it.
No worries. We'll do that at the 7 o'clock hour. No problem there. We've got momentarily Leanne O'Neill is coming up. I want to talk a little bit about the economy and the jobs report that came out on Friday. I want to reiterate it because the fake news won't tell you how great this was. We got 115,000 jobs. They expected 50,000. That over doubled the jobs that we thought were going to happen. Once again, the fake news ignored it like it was some kind of an aberration. This economy is booming along. The stock market is higher than ever. Consumer confidence has gone up. People understand why we're in this war. They get it. They understand that oil prices and gas is transitory. It will eventually come down when this thing is ended, when we're able to get their nuclear enrichment out of there. But the bottom line is we over doubled what they thought the jobs would be. And these are all private sector jobs. There are no public sector jobs. The public sector jobs are going away. They're getting cut. And 90% of these, let me reiterate the number, 90% of these were driven by small businesses like ours. Driven by a company like ours. Companies like ours, small businesses. Why? Because of the one big beautiful bill, because of the tax advantages that we're able to get, and the main thing with it, the main thing is the 100% write-off certainty of capital investment. That's the thing that's driving this economy. The people in Congress that voted against this never owned the business, don't get it, don't know how to hire people, never signed the front of a check like Ann does. My wife, who's the CEO, who owns with me our company. This is what's driving these jobs. Small businesses are expanding because they have more money available to them because of the one-term write-off. The other thing it does, it incents you to make another investment then next year, because you want to get the write-off again. So every time you make an investment, you grow something and hire people. Like we're looking to buy another station only because of the one big beautiful bill and the certainty. Before there was no certainty because it was going to sunset. Now there's certainty. Now you can plan your business like Ann and I do. And this is all driven, 90% of these jobs, small business. This was Trump's vision. This is the small business president of history. And that's why this economy is booming. And that's why we're going to win the midterms. And they got to win now 20 seats. And I'm telling you, they're not going to do it. We are going to carry the House by a handful of votes, as they don't have 20 seats to pick up. In fact, we're picking up some of their seats, especially the one in Ohio. So these are flip seats. I'm not talking about the 12 we're going to get today, Pam Evitt, who we're endorsing over the next several days when the timing for hers is right, is going to the House meeting today. They've convened. We need to get the South Carolina vote. We need to get North Carolina. Got Jason Simmons on 8:30, chairman of North Carolina. We got to get South Carolina. Alabama, big news, done deal, right? The Supreme Court would not uphold their maps. So they got 2 seats there, gone. Thank you, Kay Ivey. Got to have the balls to stand up to what the Democrats are doing. Got to have the courage. One man with courage or woman makes a majority. So we're fired up and we're going to win these midterms. And huge ruling last night out of Alabama. Huge from the SCOTUS, basically saying you guys can draw the maps however you want, which are going to eliminate 2 minority majority, racially gerrymandered districts, giving the Republicans 2 additional seats. Now we're up to 12. If we can get South Carolina done, we got Senator Massey in there, not the guy in Kentucky. We got another senator in there trying to do the Indiana shuffle. Joining me now, Leanne O'Neill. She's a Chief Legal Affairs Officer, America First Policy. Hi, Leanne.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Sorry for the little bit of a wait here. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's start. Can we start, before we get to Alabama, can we start with Virginia and the ridiculous appeal that the Democrats filed to SCOTUS, which has no jurisdiction over the Virginia Constitution. Go ahead, Leanne.
I mean, yeah, it was comical on several levels. Not to mention the spelling errors in that joint motion to delay the issuing the mandate. Virginia has, I guess, given its best shot, but of course it's not going to work because they violated their own constitution in the process, and the election integrity principles of this country won't tolerate those type of shenanigans.
What did you think of their scheme to call another special session to change the mandatory age of Virginia Supreme Court justices to 52, retirement age? The youngest one is 53, so the court would dissolve. Then they'd have to appoint 7 new justices, get them through the committees, get Spanberger to sign off, and basically they would have replaced the entire Supreme Court of Virginia. And they went to the New York Times with that. This is how brazen they are. What was your reaction to that, Leanne?
I mean, I suppose it's sort of evidence of desperate times call for desperate measures is probably where the mentality was there. But it's just really alarming. I mean, there's so much talk and sort of fear mongering about democracy is on the ballot this election. That's what we're told every single election. And then you have behaviors like this when people don't get their way, when they've just tried to run roughshod over their own constitution. And it's obviously not going to work. It's unconstitutional. It won't hold up. And this is just a really alarming trend to see, the behavior out of some of these elected officials who just obviously feel like they're above everyone else. The rules apply differently to them than to everyone else. And they don't care about people's constitutional rights.
It's crazy. The whole thing is insane what they're trying to do. Of course, it isn't going to happen. But the fact that they went to the New York Times with it is really the buried headline here. It's the buried lead, because they wanted to show their base that they're willing to fight and do whatever it takes. But it backfired on them because you see how ridiculously brazen communists they are. Like, who would just? I'm going to check if the I said this yesterday. So if the youngest justice was 40, they would have to make the mandatory retirement age 39. So then they have to pick 7 justices in their late 20s. I mean, the whole thing is insane. Okay, let's get to Alabama ruling. We're going to pick 2 seats up there. Reaction to that, Leanne?
I mean, I was honestly surprised that the Calais decision came down when it did. I sort of was imagining that was going to be the very last decision to come out of the Supreme Court this term. So it's just a very welcome reprieve from some of the insanity and, the absolute perversion of well-meaning, well-intentioned laws that have gone on in this country. That's just one example of them. And so it's really, I think, refreshing to see a restoration to the idea that, one person, one vote, right? That's what you're entitled to in this country. You get your vote. It matters for only that. And we're not, manipulating things anymore based on race or skin color.
Leanne O'Neill with us. Leanne is the Chief Legal Affairs Officer at America's First Policy. You want to weigh in, 888-480-JOHN, 888-580-4656, 888-480-JOHN. Now, Dan, you got I've got the number mixed up because I think Larry recorded it the wrong number. So put that in the Chiron because he mixed me up today after 15 years. So 888-480-JOHN. Leanne, you mentioned you were surprised that the ruling of the Supreme Court on Alabama came down so fast. Why?
Well, I was referring to the Calais decision that came down. I guess it's almost been 2 weeks now out of the Supreme Court. So, the action, like Alabama, jump on this so quickly, the opportunity to set their maps straight is not a surprise. I think that they've, done fantastic work there. And I'm just glad to see that the will of the voters will really come through in that state. And I expect that will be true in others as well.
All right. What do you think is going to happen now in South Carolina?
I'm really hate to be in the business of making predictions, but I'm extremely hopeful that it will be, more of the same trajectory. I feel like we're on a really great trend of seeing that the election integrity principles that this country was built upon are shining through and really being given a lot of emphasis and protection right now. And I'm hopeful that that will continue and that we will see great things happening there as well.
Well, I'm in the business of making predictions. This thing is they're gonna get through the next 2 days. They're gonna postpone the election from June 9th, I think, probably to August 11th. That's going to be the first step. Then they're going to convene another special session to do the maps. And then we can only afford in South Carolina, I'll lay it out for our audience, we can only afford in South Carolina to lose 4 senators, right? It's got to pass with a 2/3 majority. We've got the votes in the House, the South Carolina House. That's a done deal, in my judgment, from the people I've talked to. Then you go to the Senate. We have enough of a majority where we can only afford to lose 3 seats. We lose 4, not seats, votes. We lose 4 senators, it's dead. One has already come out against it, and that's Senator Massey, not Congressman Kentucky. Senator Massey, powerful senator, has already come out as a no vote, right? That gets us to 2 more, because if you lose 4, you're done. So we can only lose 3. So that means we can only afford to lose 2 more state senators in South Carolina to get this 1 seat. And it's going to be razor thin. We're likely to go there with a bus tour in order to encourage the senators to vote for it. And if they don't, then they're going to get Indiana'd. Leanne, you know what Indiana means, right?
I do. I live in Indiana, so I'm very aware.
Did you vote for the MAGA candidates there?
I voted for all of the best candidates. Let's just put it that way.
I'm not sure what that answer is, but okay. I mean,
The America
you won't
First
make a
candidates,
prediction, and you won't tell me who you voted for. I hope you voted for the MAGA candidates, because those Indiana senators screwed us out of 2 seats, and 6 of the 7 of them got beat. Good riddance. I hope things work out when you have to get a real job and actually show up every day for work like we do. Leanne, I want to thank you for being with us. People want to follow you. Where do they go?
Thank you. I'm I'm on X at LAL O'Neill. They can find me there.
Thank you, Leanne. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being with us today. Okay, Danny, let's get to you got that clip up. I'm excited about South Carolina. I think they're going to put off the election today. Then they go to the maps. That'll probably be in 2 weeks. I'm definitely going there. We're going to raise hell. And we have a new verb or new adjective or noun, whatever it is. I think it's a verb. You vote no, you're going to get Indiana. Simple. You're gone. Then you don't have your little badge. It says, state senator. You don't have your staff running around asking you if you want a hot cup of coffee or a cold soft drink. You don't have limos and car services pulling up. You don't have, an entourage of people, pulling out your chair, making sure you have a comfortable pillow. All that's gone, because we're going to oust your ass in the next primary. And if you're up in August 11th, you'll be gone then. I don't know when it's up. We'll have to find that out. Somebody find that out for me. When is the South Carolina Senate up? I'm sick of these people. I'm sick of the whole thing. I'm sick of it. And we're going to go down there. We need every seat, every single seat. Brian Kemp, nothing. Crickets, 0, zilch. Well, we'll wait until 2028. You know what? We could all be dead then. I want action, action, action. That's why we got to go to South Carolina, and we got to heat things up. Okay. Dan Hobgood, my morning executive producer, has dug up the WRVA audio that he will play for us. Morning show host Rich Herrera on with Congressman, 2nd District, Virginia, Jen Kiggins. Let her roll.
If Hakeem Jeffries wants to be involved in Virginia politics, then I suggest he does what a bunch of New Yorkers are doing. Leave New York, move down here to Virginia, run for office down here. You could represent us. If not, get your cotton picking hands off of Virginia.
That's right. Ditto. Yes. Yes to that.
What she was saying ditto to was not the racial implication. It was come down to Virginia, which I don't want him to come to Virginia. I think he should stay in New York. And by the way, who the hell would want to come to Virginia anyway? We suck as bad as they do. So, like, I don't even agree with the whole concept. You're going to go out of New York. You want to go to Tennessee, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia. The hell would go there? Maybe New Hampshire. I don't know. No income tax. Crazy stuff, right? All right, Dan. Being this was your former company. By the way, I'm so glad you're with us. Ann was complimenting you that night. By the way, I got another thing to tell you. You got another compliment offline. I'll tell you.
Oh,
later.
okay. Okay.
It was very nice.
Oh, thanks to whoever said whatever.
I'll tell you offline.
Okay.
But it was look, you're really making a difference. I mean, people can tell that the cadence of the show has gone up dramatically, and there's a lot more energy. And we love what you're doing, and you're really making. I tell you this right on air, you're making a huge difference. So thank you.
Well, I am just thrilled to be here. Thanks so much to Ann and you, to everybody on the John Fredericks Media Network. Everybody has been wonderful to me. I hope I've been half as good to them as they've been to me. But yeah, it's just great to be here. I wish my only regret is that I didn't start earlier. And start sooner. I'm having a great time.
Said that we did.
You did.
My audience knows.
Yes, you did.
Did make him an offer. It was a very good offer coming out when it was at WRBA, and Reed left, and we did make him an offer, and we did talk a lot, and he turned it down. And so, but second chances. Right.
I'm delighted to be here, and in some ways, I've talked about this with my parents, my aforementioned dad, who did contribute to your campaign.
Go Jim Hobgood.
Yes, twice the man that I am. Jim Hobgood. He's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger in Twin. I'm the Danny DeVito leftovers, but he and my mom and I were talking and said, in some ways, maybe it's good that you didn't start when you did, because you wouldn't have appreciated it nearly as much as you do now. And I think that's a fair comment, because to be here now after things that had transpired, I'm really delighted, and I know how good it is to be here. So I'm super, super, super grateful to everybody, but especially to Ann and you.
Well, thank you. Meantime,
you do great. You're doing a great job. I write to you every day. You do so great. I just like, man, this guy's up on everything. You know your politics. You know your news. You know your sports. It's like, what is this guy not? I'm in awe of how much you have expertise. I might have you on movies, but other than that,
you got me on movies. Yes.
This guy just has his bases covered. It's really crazy.
Don't forget DC politics.
That's right. Yeah, most of all.
I just got a new platform campaign. Platform I just came out with. It'll be on DC Dispatch a little bit later on today. We're going to have it out on our newsletter and on Trump News Nation. But I got a new platform out that I don't want to get into now, because I don't want to steal our thunder. But I'll get that out tomorrow when I get it up on our site, and it has to do with lowering rents in D.C. and people are going to be excited about it. And I believe the Republican Party of Washington D.C. should have a platform, which we do not have. There's no platform, at least in Virginia. You know what always struck me there is they have this thing called the Republican Creed of Virginia. Dan, I'm sure you've been in meetings and seen it, and I remember when Dave Bratt was running for Congress, the first time I had him on, and I said, well, what are you going to do, right? He said, well, I'm going to do what's in the Virginia Republican Creed. Like, that's what's in there. We say it every day, but nobody's doing it. That's what I'm going to do. That's basically what he did. So I haven't seen Dave in a while, because Dave is in looking at an opportunity, which is preventing him from doing media. Let me leave it at that. All good. All good. Speaking of ambassadors, we got 2 ambassador announcements yesterday. We launched the Pennsylvania posse, and after one day, Doug Mastriano no longer part of the posse, not because he doesn't love it, but because he has been nominated by President Trump to be the ambassador to the Republic of Slavic, the Republic of Slavic. So he'll go through the confirmation process. He can't do media, I don't believe. I think that's the rule. And he will go through that process, and he will become Ambassador Mastriano. Aren't you excited for him, Danny?
That's amazing. Yeah, congratulations to him. Does that mean his last media appearance was with us?
I think so. I don't think he was named last night, and I don't.
He went out on a high note, like George Costanza.
That's right. I don't think they can do. I don't think when you're nominated like that, they allow you to do media. I think that's one of the rules.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I'll text him today later on. I congratulated him last night, but I'm 99.9% positive that he can't do media. So I'll be looking for another panelist. But Doug's been awesome. He's been on my show forever, every week, never misses a beat unless when he's traveling. So we're going to definitely miss Doug. But a great opportunity for Doug. And a good opportunity, too, because it kind of gets him out of the whole Pennsylvania thing and, you know, the upset about how that went down with Stacey. It kind of gets him off the scene. So I'm not saying that was part of their calculus, but if not, it's a side benefit. So he's off to another country. Also named ambassador to Jamaica. Carrie Lake has been named ambassador to Jamaica. She will also have to go through Senate confirmation. So Carrie Lake, ambassador to Jamaica. Both of those have to go through a tough Senate confirmation because of some of the things that Mastriano has done and said in the past. And certainly Carrie Lake's a lightning rod. But this was a good appointment for Carrie because she was not a net positive to the administration in some ways. I think some people believe that. I didn't. I'm a fan of hers. But some people believed she went on Fox News too much. She went on TV too much. And just too much. And remember, you can't upstage the big guy. And you can't get ahead of your skis. And she did a lot of media. And when you start doing that, you're not long for this world. See Pam Bondi. See Kristi Noem. You know, you're better off doing your job. And when you do media, it's when you're in the Oval Office when the president calls you in. And when you're on TV all the time, not particularly helpful, I don't think. But she is going to be, she is nominated for ambassador to Jamaica. If you're going to get nominated for an ambassadorship, Jamaica's not a bad place to be. So you can do a lot worse than Jamaica, Carrie. As far as Mastriano, he knows that neck of the woods out there in Eastern Europe, and he'll be the ambassador there, and he'll do a fabulous job. You're on the John Fredericks Media Network. Todd Sheets next. Jobs report booming. Let's go South Carolina. Great ruling in Alabama. It's the summer of love, baby. You want the real summer of love? You got it right here. The summer of love. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is WJFN, Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFV, Portsmouth.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump says the Iran ceasefire is on life support after Tehran's counter-proposal to a U.S. peace plan fell far short. The U.S. blockade of Iranian ports remains in place. The president says his line hasn't changed a bit.
Very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Can't have it. And if they did have it, the Middle East would be gone, Israel would be gone, and then hit Europe probably next. We're doing a service to the world. And this has gone on for 47 years. Other presidents and leaders of other countries that have the power should have done it, but they didn't do it.
Mr. Trump says he feels no pressure at all to cave to Iran's demands. A senior Trump administration official says that Israel is helping the UAE defend itself against Iranian aggression.
The U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, said Israel sent Iron Dome anti-missile batteries and personnel to the United Arab Emirates to defend the country during the Iran war. At a Tel Aviv conference, Huckabee said, "I'd like to say a word of appreciation for the UAE, the first Abraham Accord member," adding, "Just look at the benefits. Israel sending them Iron Dome batteries and personnel to help operate them." The UAE has not immediately responded to a request for comment over the acknowledgement by Huckabee, though it underlines the growing defence relationship between the countries long suspicious of Iran. I'm Charles Tillerson.
President Trump is preparing to depart Washington on a state visit to China. Beijing is a key Iranian ally, buying lots of oil from Iran. Could it start buying American oil instead? Stay tuned. Total of 18 Americans they had been on board that hantavirus cruise ship remain in isolation. 16 in Nebraska, 2 others quarantined in Atlanta. The Dow futures down 50 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
How many times are you going to walk into that outdated bathroom and think, I really need a bathroom makeover? Stop putting it off and transform your bathroom and your life in as little as one day with a beautiful, affordable shower makeover from Jacuzzi Bath Remodel. Choose from custom designs tailored to your budget and style, including safety-focused features for beauty and peace of mind.
I've had a great experience from start to finish. The crew that came in, they were so professional. This looks like a marble, beautiful, new shower, and it was done all in one day.
Right now, we're waiving all installation costs, plus offering no interest and no payments for up to 1 year. Call now to schedule your free design consultation and quote. Call 800-384-3305. That's 800-384-3305. 800-384-3305. With purchase and installation, financing through third-party lenders, subject to credit approval. No interest and no payments if paid in full within 12 months. Charge from purchase date if not paid in full. Not all will qualify. Call dealer for details.
Embattled British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has lost the first member of his government. He faces growing pressure to step down following heavy losses in local elections.
He really is on the sort of verge of being in a position that's utterly untenable, to have lost so much support within the party. And what we all need to keep an eye on in the next few hours, because he could literally have just a few hours left, is when the cabinet has its regular meeting, because that will be key. Will the cabinet turn against him, or will the divisions in the cabinet turn out to be that it's those who are worried about the kind of chaos and splits that dominate? But Keir Starmer is in big, big trouble.
That's BBC's Rob Watson. 2 national agencies fighting corruption in Ukraine have named Ukrainian President Zelensky's former chief of staff as an official suspect in a major graft investigation. The agency is investigating Andrei Yermak. News and analysis, townhall.com. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton suing a streaming giant.
The suit charges Netflix with spying on children and other consumers by collecting their data without consent and designing its platform to be addictive. Paxton says Netflix has falsely represented to consumers that it did not collect or share user data when it actually tracked and sold viewer habits and preferences to commercial data brokers and advertising technology companies. Paxton wants Netflix to purge the data it obtained illegally and not use it for targeting advertising without users' consent, plus pay fines for each violation. Keith Peters reporting.
The global maritime industry is facing a looming shortage of the fuel that powers ships. The Iran war choking off a key shipping lane in the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 80% of globally traded goods are transported by sea. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
President Trump and Buddy Carter are working to help Georgians keep more of what they earn by passing the largest tax cut in history, eliminating taxes on tips and overtime, and making the child tax credit permanent.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
From day one, Buddy Carter has stood with President Trump on his mission to make life more affordable for working families. But while President Trump and Buddy Carter were protecting our wallets, Congressman Mike Collins was abusing them. Congressman Collins is under federal investigation for misusing taxpayer funds to benefit himself and his cronies. According to the investigation report, Congressman Mike Collins, quote, may have violated federal law by shelling out government funds to one of his top aides. Georgia families have had enough of wasteful, corrupt career politicians. We just can't trust or afford Mike Collins. Paid for by Buddy Carter for Senate.
I'm Buddy Carter, and I approve this message.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging calcium alpha-ketoglutarate, which has been clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, My Pillow mattresses and My Pillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's gonna ship absolutely free.
To take advantage of the second annual mega sale, go to mypillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla.
Ponder this. We intake oxygen every time we breathe, and breathing is how we stay alive. When God first created man, he breathed life into him. Our Lord also breathed spiritual life into his apostles and filled them with the Holy Spirit at the first Pentecost. Oxygen is a source of life both physically and spiritually. It's the same with fire. Oxygen is needed in order to keep a fire burning, which begs the question, are you on fire for the Lord, or has your spiritual oxygen been extinguished? To answer this, we must go to the source. The source of our spiritual oxygen is the Lord himself. Without him, there is no life within us. Those are his words, not mine. We are called to tap into this life source by baptism, daily prayer, and receiving the sacraments, especially Holy Communion if you are a Catholic, in the state of grace. If we tap into this life source every day, our lives will be filled with the love of the Lord, our spiritual oxygen. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
They're better than we are. We're not good enough. We shouldn't even be thinking about beating this 49ers. We shouldn't be talking about it because the Saints ain't good enough. And you guys shouldn't write about us being a playoff team and all that bullshit. That's malarkey. We ain't good enough to beat those guys, and it was proven out there today. It's that simple. We're not good enough yet. We got a long way to go. We got a lot of work to do. We're close, and close don't mean... And you can put that on TV for me. I'm tired of coming close, and we're going to work our off till we ain't close anymore, and it may take some time. We're going to get it done. We aren't in there. We aren't good enough. They're better than us. Black and white, simple fact. Could have, would have, should have is the difference of what I'm talking about. The good teams don't come in and say could have. They get it done. All right? It's that simple. I'm tired of saying could have, should have, would have. That's why we ain't good enough yet, because we're saying could have and they ain't.
He's your Godzilla of the truth in America.
Run! It's Godzilla!
No gibberish or nonsense, just common sense. And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Great to have you with us. Todd Sheets coming up. I'm your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables. Thanks for joining us today. A lot of moving parts. Let's do a recap here about some of the ambassadorships. As we said, still in the nominating process. Dave Bratt scheduled to be ambassador to Australia. That's why he hasn't been on. That is still pending confirmation. This is a long process because he's got to get the infamous blue slip going, get out of committee. That's coming. Also, Kara Lake named Kara Lake named ambassador to Jamaica. It's a great place to be. Also solves a problem for the administration because she did way too much TV to their liking. I'm just telling you like it is, right? I love Kara Lake. Think she got cheated out of that election. Should have been governor, could have been senator. But right now, when you take a job in the administration and you're on TV, 7 times, 8, 9, 10 times a day, a week, you're just not going to survive. They don't like it. And so they shipped her out. So listen, you could be going to a lot worse places than Jamaica. Doug Mastriano going to the Slavic Republic as ambassador. That's a great move. He knows the area. He'll be tremendous asset to the administration. A lot going on there in Eastern Europe. And so we wish Doug all the best. But look, these guys play chess. That solves an issue for them in Pennsylvania. Because as you know, from Doug coming on my show every week at 9 o'clock and now part of the posse, he was upset by the way things went down there with the grassroots, with the anointment of Stacey Garrity, who is 100% MAGA, and it was an issue. And so I think what they did is they got a great ambassador of that area by Doug Mastriano. They also got him out of Pennsylvania, so it's not a problem. Not saying he is, but these guys play you got to understand. These guys at the White House are really smart, and they're playing a huge chessboard here, right? So you got a problem, we deal with it. And it's not necessarily a problem, but they're looking ahead. And so you get Doug out of Pennsylvania. Now you got Stacey Garrity. They need her to get a big vote in Pennsylvania, a big vote. And right now she's down big. She can be a great candidate. She's a lovely lady and 100% MAGA. I mean, great MAGA, 100%. But they need a big vote in Pennsylvania in order to save these seats. We got 4 seats that are hanging by a thread, 4 of them, not 3, 4. We need to win at least 2 of these, maybe 3, but certainly having a strong vote at the top of the ticket by Stacey is going to be helpful. And, some of the grassroots not happy with the way it went down, saying they're not going to turn out. That all goes away with Doug being ambassador. It just goes away because he was the leader of that. I love him to death, and I think this was a great choice regardless. But I'm giving you the truth, like it or not. These are the decisions that go in. You're going to get truth and clarity right here. Dave going to Australia is just a great move. I mean, he's been, he's so reliable and so smart, and he'll make a phenomenal ambassador wherever he goes because Dave is a brilliant guy. 888-480-JOHN. You want to weigh in? 888-480-5646. 880-4646. And nobody said that Carrie Lake was bad. I love Carrie Lake. Okay, you guys got to get this. I love Carrie Lake. I'm giving you the facts of what happened. She goes on TV too much. Therefore, they shipped her to Jamaica. She'll be a great ambassador. It's a great gig. Everybody wins. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not saying anything bad about Doug either. Doug's my friend. Doug's one of my best friends in the world. I talk to him every single week, multiple times a week. Doug's going to be a great ambassador. But they were concerned that Doug's got a following that was mad over the how Stacey Garrity got the nomination. And so they ship him out. And it's a win for the administration. It's a win for Doug. And it's a win for Pennsylvania. And so what is wrong with that? That's smart. Nothing wrong with it. Nobody's criticizing anybody. But, Carrie Lake went on TV too much. And so they got her out. It's simple. It's just, follow the math here, right? Anyway, you can say what you want. I'm giving you truth and clarity, like it or not. And if you don't like it, go to alexjones.com and get lies and clickbait and you're good to go, right? Everything will be fine. Just go to alexjones.com and I'm sure he's on with some podcast telling you nonsense. 888-480-JOHN. You want to weigh in? 888-480-5646. I'm defiant as always today, like any other day. Joining me now in a moment, Todd Cheese. Before that, though, this segment brought to you by sat123.com. Go to sat123.com. They have this Starlink Mini. This thing is a changer of how you do business. I mean, it comes in, it fits in your briefcase. You get up to 500 gigs a month. It's right now it's $200, right? You're going to spend that for a jetpack, right? Those are like $199, and you're going to pay the same amount. And that depends on what the cell service says. I got 3 of them. So look, I got the jetpacks. Sometimes you got to have them, but the Starlink, I don't need the jetpack. Starlink is phenomenal because you can travel with it, and no matter where you go, you just put the thing on, you put it by a window, you're good to go. It goes right up to satellite. You got a clear view sky, you're good. You got a sunroof in your car, you're good, right? You're going somewhere, you're good. No matter where you are, you would travel with it, right? Airport, if you're outside, anywhere, as long as you got a clear opening to the sky or you got a window right there, you're good to go. Hotel, window, you're good to go. This thing, $300, best buy you're ever going to make. Keeps you in touch 100% of the time. You know what? I go to these hotels. Ever try to get on their internet? And it's fine at like 3 a.m. Yeah, that's good. Soon as like 7 comes and everybody starts logging in, you're screwed, or they're asking you pay another $10 for an upgrade. I ain't doing that because it's the same. It's all a lie. So you can't get on, you can't get speed, you can't get anything, but you get your Starlink Mini, and that thing is golden. You will get speeds like crazy, ups, downs, downloads, videos, whatever you want. You got it. $300. Just go to sat123.com. The deal is there. Sat123.com. Check out your Starlink Mini today. You're going to love it. Only $300 with sat123.com. They got a deal on it. Get it today. And that's like $165 a month. And you're paying, look, I pay $59. I got 3 jetpacks. They're $60 a piece. That's $180. Get rid of those. I'm even. Bingo. No brainer. Join me now, Todd Sheets, economic guru, also author of the greatest book on the 2008 crash ever written, which is What Really Happened in 2008 Crash. And he's a Substacker, but he doesn't charge you, which is why I like him. He doesn't charge for Substack. I don't charge for GodzillaWins.com, right? We're just out of the goodness of our heart. We give people stuff. It's, you know what? Ann says, got to pay it forward, right? I think there was a movie, right? Pay it forward, right? That's what you got to do. Todd, great to have you with us today.
Yeah, great to be back, John. How are you doing this week?
Todd, never better. It's the summer of love, baby.
What was that, 1968? Was that the first one?
Todd, it's the summer of love.
It was
I'm
66.
loving all these. I love Virginia. I love all these seats we're gaining. I love the ruling yesterday on Alabama. I love what we're doing in South Carolina. We got to bring the bus there. Todd, it's the summer of love. We got seats out the wazoo. The Democrats are going to have to win now. They thought it was done. This is why they're, Todd, this is why they're melting down. Hakeem Jeffries is in there measuring the drapes in the speaker's office. Now he'd have to win like 3 seats, 2 seats or something. Now he's got to win 20. There's not 20 seats out there for him to win. But Todd, the economy booming, 115,000 jobs. Todd Sheets, what do you think of this whole thing?
Yeah, I think the economic thing is really interesting. The job report is obviously good and in the right direction. I'd make a couple of comments. One is, if you follow these things very closely or just even moderately closely, you'll quickly lose any respect for the idea of economic forecasting having any value. So all the estimates before the jobs report came out last week were for like 55 to 65,000 jobs, and they come out with 115,000, which is a miss of almost, 90 or 100% off, from 2 days before until the day it happens. So that tells you to kind of take all these economic models, with a huge grain of salt. We also have to take the reports with a little bit of reservation, because we've seen that these things can be adjusted meaningfully also. So having said all of that, we have now had 2 or 3 reports in the right direction in a pretty strong fashion, in spite of what is happening with the war. And more importantly to me, that's backed up by a very powerful corporate earnings season. First quarter earnings reports were incredibly strong. Companies were guiding towards future expectations, which is what Wall Street calls it, to continue to be strong. And that's why we're seeing the market reacting the way that it is. And this is in spite of the war. So to me, this goes back to what we were talking a lot about last year is, we have this economic ocean liner, biggest one in the world by far. Nobody's even close. It's been sailed into troubled waters for over 2 decades by one failed administration after another. It takes time to move that. Last year was getting the steering wheel readjusted so that you're headed into favorable waters. But then what happens is you have a storm come along called the government shutdown, which in all likelihood, you were talking about the Democrats doing anything and everything they can to change things, in all likelihood was significantly driven by their desire to make sure the economy didn't take off. We had like a 4% GDP growth in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden we get the shutdown. So that holds things back. So now the fourth quarter is not quite as strong. We come into this year, the war has clearly had some impact, but not nearly as much as anybody would have expected. And I think that's what we're seeing. To me, it's all a sign that there's a very high probability that this economic boom that we've been talking about is getting ready to happen. And most importantly, it's getting ready to translate into jobs so that everyday Americans can feel like they are finally a part of this amazing economy that we have. So, yeah, I think good stuff there.
Todd Sheets, Summer of Love. Tell me what is driving record corporate earnings, which is driving stocks up.
Yeah, well, I think first of all, for all the negative talk, AI is having a huge impact. The construction of these data centers, there's estimates out there that around 3/4 of GDP growth is being driven by AI. And my opinion on this is, like all technological advancements in the past, this is going to be enormously positive for America and Americans and working Americans. But the issue that people have been facing is that we're still in the early stages of this. Last year, they were still building out the models. So those models aren't getting out to people. That creates the opportunity for a lot of fear mongering, which we've had, and these, doomsday forecasts. It's going to wipe out half of white collar jobs. It's very easy to identify jobs that might be hurt by AI or might need to be transitioned. It is very hard to anticipate all of the new things that get created when these transformative technological innovations come along. And the history of the economy and the world is these things make people more productive. And when people are more productive, they are more valuable. And it does two things. It helps lower the cost of the products and the goods and services that they're providing. And it typically then also raises the wages of those people who have become more productive. We saw this with the assembly line and Henry Ford. The cost of an automobile went from $2,000 at the time. It was called a rich man's toy. Ford drove it down to something like under $300 for a Model T. So you would think, and he did it by putting the assembly line much more efficient. You would think, oh my God, this is disastrous for the auto workers. No, auto workers, the demand for them boomed like crazy and their wages doubled. Ford implemented what he called the $5 day, which took wages from $2.50 to $5. And then with all the productivity that came and the ability to produce more cars at lower price, they also were able to implement, I think they went from the 6-day work week to the 5-day work week kind of thing. So people had more leisure time, which then created a whole leisure industry. So I think all these things are going to happen with AI. We will have some issues to deal with. We're seeing a few of those now on, security kind of issues. But anyway, what's driving this? I think that's one big thing that's driving all of this.
So explain Todd Sheets with us. Todd Sheets, explain how AI, you said there, it's representing about 75% of GDP. Just walk us through an example of how you get there. Like, why is it driving GDP?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the GDP growth right now is coming from the building of these data centers. So we're talking about not 75% of GDP, but 75% of the growth rate.
Of the growth rate, okay.
Of the growth rate. Yeah, that's important for people to know. So So of the growth rate, but we can go back to look at these major companies. And this is another thing, we have this huge advantage. You take those Mag 7 companies and they're investing, something like it's hundreds of billions of dollars a quarter, up in the $1 trillion annually, at those kinds of numbers. I don't have the exact numbers off the top of my head, but these are numbers that we have never seen. These are numbers that go beyond building of the transcontinental railroad, the build out of the interstate highway system. And we are also seeing, there was a big question last year was like, oh, are they just spending too much money on this? Is this going to be, just some like a .com failure kind of thing where all this money is getting spent? And the question was, are they going to be able to monetize it? Will they get a return on the investment? And what we're seeing this year is, yes, there is so much demand for it that, we've got companies out there like Anthropic, which is far from my favorite company in this space, just because their leader, is kind of a socialist, over-regulation kind of guy. But their revenue bases are just escalating at levels we've never seen before. Like from run rates of maybe $1 billion last year to 4 or 5 billion at the first part of this year to $10 billion now. And so what that shows is this isn't all some kind of pie in the sky type of thing. It's a bunch of Wall Street hype that's going to raise a bunch of money, make a bunch of money for the investment bankers, and then fall flat on its face. This is the proof of the pudding that there is demand for these products that they're spending so much money to create. We're at the leading edge of all of this. Other companies are using it to improve their basic businesses like advertising and that kind of thing. They're seeing a huge growth in the amount of advertising spend for the reasons that we talked about. So as this filters through, and we are just, we got the first batter up. This isn't, even the end of the first inning. The first batter is coming up to bat kind of right now. As this flows through the economy, I just think this is going to be, one of the most exciting economic things that we've, ever had to watch.
In your business, give me one example of where you use AI where you didn't in the past.
Yeah, I could tick off multiple examples, but for me, in writing the Substack pieces, this is the equivalent of me having a whole research team working for me. So, let's say, I was just on my piece this past weekend, I wanted to find a quote for somebody from the Democratic Party who was making this comparison of the Iran war to Vietnam or Iraq and that kind of thing, because I don't believe the Iran war is not what those things were. Okay. So I can go on there and say, give me a quote from a prominent Democrat who makes this comparison, and boom, I've got it. Now, in the past, before the internet, you would have had to have a team of several people who would then go start digging through all of the things. With the internet before, I would have had to search for it and then scroll down and look at all these different things. And now it's instantaneously there for me. So that is making me significantly more productive. I would encourage everybody, and it also is just day-to-day things. I had a situation recently where we had a tire that was low, and we didn't know if it just had a little slow leak and we just need to fill the tire. We need to go in and replace it. Can we drive it down? I ran that through AI, and I got so much. It was like I had the smartest tire guy in the world to tell me what to do with that thing. It gave me this protocol to walk through, and it says, do these things. And if this happens, do this. And if this happens, do that. And it made total sense. And so this is going to be huge. Everybody should start using it. If you're a little bit afraid of technology, sign up for Gemini or ChatGPT. Start using it daily. Ask it questions. It's going to improve your life.
And this is where the growth is. But like what you just mentioned, see, people are afraid that it's going to cost jobs. But I'm with you. We use it in our company, and it actually does. It doesn't cost anybody a job. it actually opens up opportunities for us to hire somebody else. So it actually has the opposite effect in a company like ours that people say it has. So I'm with you on that. I got to go. You got to follow Todd Sheets. Todd, people want to get to your Substack. By the way, great segment today. Where do they go?
Yeah, just go to Substack and search Todd Sheets on Wealth in Progress, or do the same thing if you like Spotify podcasts or Apple Music podcasts or YouTube. I do the same thing in a podcast each week there. So,
you know, Todd, you give the best economic analysis in America.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
You're
nice
really
to be on one of the best shows in America.
Well, thank you. I mean, I actually look forward to Tuesday at 7 when you're on, because I know how much I'm going to learn.
Hey, John, it's always a pleasure to be with you.
Todd Sheets, follow him on Substack. That's Sheets with 2 E's. Not the gas station. There's no Z. Sheets with 2 E's. Todd, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, great. Thanks, John. Have a good week.
Stephanie Bohala is next.
Concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you MyPillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our MyPillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our MyPillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door, absolutely free.
Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code GODZILLA to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
Ponder this. Imagine for a moment that you are lying on your deathbed. This is a great exercise to do each day in preparation for your very last day on earth. Think about the tests you've ever taken, the job interviews you've had, and the many life celebrations you've been a part of. In all of these cases, preparation makes for successful outcomes. The same is true for dying. We must prepare every day for the day we are to die, in case today might be our last. Make sure you are right with the Lord first and foremost. If you are a Catholic, make sure you are in the state of grace by receiving the sacrament of confession often. Next, make sure you are right with your family, friends, and all those who are in your world. Apologize to those who have offended you and mend relationships that need healing. Make each day a preparation for your last day on earth, because it just may be. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Stop. Really? Is that the first question? We won the game 20-10. Try another question. We played the game to win the game.
All right. How about third down then? What is going on with third down?
It's one game. Last game, we were great on third down. You're micro you're looking at this from the wrong perspective. LSU won the football game. Won the game. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? You want us to win 70-0 against Florida to keep you happy?
No, I think people want to know why you can't run the ball, quite honestly.
We can run the ball. Did you see the last play of the game? That's all you need. You just need one. There's a ridiculous questions. You know what? You're spoiled. You're spoiled. This team is 17-1 at night. 17-1. Give them some respect.
Don't touch that dial. You found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
You got him. I'm John Fredericks, and I am your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables. Hey, thanks for being with us today. As always, rocking and rolling, coming live in Washington, D.C. Great to have you with us. And today's segment is brought to you by Colonial Downs. Don't forget, got spring meet starting third week in June, June 23. We got racing on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, post time 12:30. We're going to be there with our suite. Go to colonialdowns.com. More information, colonialdowns.com. Don't want to miss this for the world. Now, Ann and I are going to be there a lot of these days. We got our suite going. We can move our whole studio there out of D.C. Why not? Right? Let's go. And, well, we're going to be taking our racehorse that right now is in Kentucky, and going to be taking that when we get him there to Colonial Downs, and he'll be part of the meet. So I'll tell you when he's in or hers in, whatever we decide to buy, and you'll be the first to know. But you want to go to colonialdowns.com, colonialdowns.com, the most beautiful racetrack in America, tied with Saratoga. I've been to them all, but it is gorgeous. Turf course, bring the kids. It is so much fun. You're really going to enjoy it at Colonial Downs. They got the longest meet they've had ever, June 23rd, right through September 7th, right through Labor Day, all summer. It's the summer of love at Colonial Downs. Go to colonialdowns.com. That's colonialdowns.com. And while you're there, well, you can go to Rosie's Gaming right downstairs like I do. So much fun for one couple to have. Great for dates. Great for bring your significant other. Food is great. Racing is great. A lot of fun. colonialdowns.com. Don't forget their meeting. You can buy tickets now. Just go to colonialdowns.com. You're good to go. Now, don't want to miss it. Join me now, Stephanie. Man, I said your name right 150 times. Stephanie Buhala is with us. Stephanie is the Senior Director of Communications for the Heritage Foundation for Heritage Action. Got to get all this straight. And Stephanie with us today. It's been too long. Stephanie, my pollster, I got to get you doing another poll. You're the best. Stephanie, my pollster from Heritage Action. Stephanie, great to have you with us today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be with you. You've got my wrong employer on the screen, though. It says Cicero Institute. I used to work there. It's fine.
Change
Don't.
that. She's a heritage. She's with Heritage Action Dance. You got to change that.
I have nothing against Cicero. They're great people.
No, but we got to get it right. Dan's,
there we go.
There you go, Danny boy. Way to go. Dan's got it straight. Anyway, it's good to have you with us. Now, no Stephanie Buhala, no Heritage Action poll. This wouldn't have happened in Virginia. This would not have happened. It was your poll that you did for us that I was able to send to all of the Congress people and all of our donors in order to get the bus tour, in order to inspire them to get more PAC money from their donors. We sent that poll out. It inspired everybody because we saw a pathway to defeating the referendum. And you're the first one to put it out there. We saw the pathway, and all we had to see was a chance. And you gave it to us, and your numbers were solid right from the beginning. And your poll is the reason the Virginia Supreme Court struck this down. Because without that poll, we don't do the bus tour, we don't get the funding, and we wouldn't have had the money at the end, even though we got outspent 10-1. They would have won this thing by 20 points, which is where it was headed. And then the Supreme Court would not have been able to overcome that. They would have had to go with the will of the voters, regardless of the Constitution. Because it was within 2 points, they were able to do the right thing. Reason? You. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. It's very flattering. Thank you. I am still delighted with how the poll turned out. I mean, everything was right within the margin of error, right where we said it was going to be. You know, we said it could go one way or the other. It was right in there, and I'm so glad that everybody, saw that this was winnable. That the vote turnout was so very high. It was unfortunate to sit and watch those results come in on election night, and then all of a sudden, all these they dumped what 40,000 mail-in ballots on one go. I don't know how you tabulate 40,000 ballots in the matter of 5 minutes, but they managed to do it. So we'll get that figured out. But the Supreme Court was 100% correct in turning it over. Again, they didn't follow the rules. They didn't have the 90 days. They didn't have the intervening election. And I don't think they made an opinion on the ballot language. But if it had gotten that far, if the other suits had needed to proceed, like that was just terrible to restore fairness. Well, guess what, guys? We did it. We restored fairness, and we didn't need your gerrymandering lies to do it.
And Stephanie, when we did that bus tour, you could feel the momentum because from the day we started, and you were there several of the days, right? About half the time, the crowds got bigger and bigger for every stop that we went to. So it got more exciting because I think we got the message out. And the one thing that you had said in there was that when you first did the poll, that that over 20% of Republicans were voting in favor of it because they were misled by the language. So because of that number, the PACs that we had focused on educating Republicans as to what this ballot initiative was. So that was a big factor in that.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying to get the lobster, right? The map that looked like the lobster. And once Republicans figured out that they were going to be, everybody was going to be lumped into one district. It was way up in the Northeast. Those folks don't represent their values. They were happy to vote no. It's just, it's an education game. It's hard to reach people. They're busy. They're driving to work right now, listening to you. Thank goodness. That's how a lot of them figured out that they should be voting no on this thing. Otherwise, how could you have known? A lot of folks just show up to the ballot box. They know I need to vote today, and I'm going to go and see what's up on the ballot. They read this misleading amendment and they say, "Oh, I like fairness. Of course, I want to be a fair person, and I'm going to vote yes." I can't fault anybody for voting yes on something like that. They're reasonable thinking people. They don't want to believe they're being tricked because it's a dirty game. So I'm just very pleased with how everything's turned out.
Well, and I'm calling this the summer of love because the Virginia thing, this is the real summer of love. It's going to be so much fun. The real kicker here was these 4 seats in Virginia that they thought they had. And the other thing is watching, some people were sending me videos, I guess, of Democrats that thought they would win their respective primaries, like Dan Helmer celebrating the win like he was going to Congress. See ya.
I saw on X last night. I think he had this, oh, woe is me post. It was something he had like 10,000 yard signs delivered, and now he doesn't have a district. So I don't know. I'm a terrible person, but I chuckled.
I mean, you have to laugh at that. You had 10,000 Helmer for Congress, and you have no district to run in. I mean, It's hilarious what these people have done, and this is how arrogant they were about this whole thing. The hubris was beyond the pale, and now they got shot down. So you take these 4 seats out. This is why I'm in such a great mood today. This now coupled with the lightning fast ruling on these Alabama maps. The Supreme Court SCOTUS, Stephanie, is not kidding around.
They're on fire.
They're on
ready
fire.
to
They're
go.
not kidding around. I mean, I expected the Alabama ruling to take at least a week or so. It came right out of the box. No, we struck these down. You will draw whatever your maps you want, but you can't have those because it's racial gerrymandering. It came down the next day.
Alabama came in and filed. They wanted an emergency ruling. They said they wanted it in 3 days. Clarence Thomas, who's my favorite justice, said, no, we need more time. Well, it turned out that more time was just not Friday, it was Monday. So that he just needed until Monday to issue the ruling. And so now they're clear to redistrict. Mississippi, Florida's done, Texas. It's amazing. It's the only thing that is going to save us in November. I truly believe that.
It's a difference of 20 seats. From
Yeah.
where they thought they were to where they're going to be. You got 2 seats now you're going to pick up in Alabama. And you're right that we expected that. Thomas said we need time. Well, what he needed was the weekend because he came out early Monday. It wasn't even like at night. It was in the middle of the day. So they did that. That's 2 seats. Mississippi has a seat. I think 1 seat. That's the
South Carolina. Yeah, it's
South
picking
Carolina.
up
Well,
one. They
that's
got rid of Clyburn's seats gone.
we still got to get the election moved today. They're in there today doing that. We got to get that moved. Pam Evitt is there, the lieutenant governor, fighting for that. Then we got to get a special session called after they move the election, and then we can only afford to lose 3 votes in the state Senate in South Carolina. One of them is gone. Massey's voting no. So you've got 2 seats, 2 senators that we can afford to lose. That's going to be touch and go. So if we can get that done, that's a seat. North Carolina's a seat. Florida's a seat. Louisiana's got 2 seats. You add these all up, it's 12, right?
Yeah.
You got 12 seats.
And a word of warning to any of these senators who are defecting in these states that don't want to vote for their maps. Just look at what happened in Indiana, an absolute bloodbath. What did we have? 15 sitting Republicans lose their primaries to a challenger after their shenanigans, saying, cutting a deal with Maryland, saying, "Oh, we won't redistrict if you don't redistrict," and Maryland with a wink and a nod. Oh, that's fine. We won't redistrict. And then guess what? Of course they did. Of course they did, and they got played. And Indiana deserved what happened to them. 100%, they deserved what happened to them.
Let's get the Trump bus to Columbia the week that the General Assembly convenes there, and park it right in front of the state Senate. And I'll do what we did in Indiana. It didn't work out in Indiana, but we learned a lot. So I think we're going to make a difference, and I'd love to get you there.
Well, it's just a short drive for me in Savannah, so I can be there. You just tell me when and where, and I'll be there.
How far is it to Columbia?
Let's see. I'm 2 hours to Charleston. How far is Columbia from Charleston? An hour?
Hour.
3 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's about
so
3
3 hours.
All right. Well, we'll get that settled. Kind of got to wait today, see if they post. The first thing they got to do is postpone the primary from June 9th until August 11th. And then the question is, do all the elections get put off until August or just Congress? That's open for debate. All that's got to get settled today or tomorrow in South Carolina. But that seat, I don't want to leave anything on the table, Stephanie.
Yeah, we need every seat. We do. We need every seat. And I will admittedly say that I was skeptical about going in South Carolina because you just cracking those districts is dangerous. You could end up with 2 Democrat seats accidentally, but I'm gonna trust the process, and I think those folks in South Carolina are gonna get those maps down good, and we're gonna pick up a seat. It's incredible. It's just incredible. So building that majority in the House, you have to, and we have to keep doing it, right? So of course there's states that can't go this, like where I'm at in Georgia, there are rules we can't go and redistrict this session, but next year we can, and so there'll be a whole handful of states. Hopefully, they've got the gumption to do it next year. That way, when Trump's out of office, and if I don't even want to think about it, if a Democrat takes the White House, that we need a very strong House that's going to push back on that Democrat agenda. Even if it's not veto proof, we need a strong, unified House with a strong majority leader and a strong speaker who they're just not going to let those agendas get to the floor for debate.
Fortune favors the bold.
Absolutely.
The risk of losing a seat in South Carolina is nonsense. Okay, this is a red state. And this is what the Democrats are saying. This is their narrative. Well, we could win 2 or 3 seats if you do this redistricting. Well, then you should be lobbying in favor of it. You should be right there. Clyburn should be going down there right now, lobbying in favor of postponing the election. But instead, they're going crazy over it because they know they're not going to win 2 seats or 3. They're going to lose the only seat they have. Otherwise, they'd be for it.
Right. And the down ballot implications for this are huge. So we know it's very difficult to get things done in Washington. Things move at the speed of reverse in time. So, but when people vote at the top of the ticket, and if the top of their ticket is a Republican, they're far more likely to vote down ballot Republican, which means our state representatives, our state senators, school boards, mayors, sheriffs, judges, you name it, all the way down the ballot in all of these states. We're going to start seeing more Republican majorities at the local level, and the state level, which is incredible, right? It's just absolutely incredible for the conservative movement. And hopefully, once this happens and all these policies start going into place, and the South is, the most amazing place, in the United States, we're going to see probably some balkanization where you get, kind of sections of blue and sections of red and a little bit of purple, up in the top. But I hope the New Yorkers and Californians leave their politics where they are when they come down to the South, where things are amazing and free.
Well, what's happening is the Republicans are coming to the South. I mean, we keep asking the questions. I've got the Texas Truthline folks coming up at 9 today, part of my segment. And we ask them over and over and over, who's coming to Texas? And it's Republicans overwhelmingly. Same thing in Florida. It's Republicans are coming overwhelmingly more than the Democrats are coming because they're comfortable there and the Democrats aren't. So this idea that all the Democrats are going to go there and infiltrate the state, it's all nonsense. The Republican majorities are growing. Stephanie Bohaya with us. Stephanie is Senior Director of Communications at Heritage Action, also their chief pollster there, also coming with me now when we do this bus tour in Columbia to get this one seat done, which I am absolutely determined to do after the debacle we had in Indiana. So I got to get my record back to 500 on these things. That was so. We couldn't even win the conference, but now they all got beat. 6 of the 7 of them got beat. So I was definitely popped the champagne that night. Had a little 3 fingers of Grey Goose when the results were in, with a little ice, saying, you know what? What goes around comes around, as the saying goes.
That's absolutely true. Oh, you mentioned race. You were mentioning the horses. Like, how about that Kentucky Derby race? Like, that was amazing, right? Tell me about your horse. I didn't know you had a horse, John.
I didn't pick the winner. My horse in the Derby finished 4th. Although he was closing, he couldn't get loose on the rail. But fractions were so fast, I didn't see that coming. But that horse that won that race he's not gonna win the Triple Crown. He's not gonna win the Maryland race. No, I mean,
but everybody loves an underdog.
Yeah, I mean, he had everything going for him. It's not going to be able to repeat. He had everything going for him. So, but yeah, I didn't have the winner. My horse was 4th in there. So, but we'll have you to Colonial Downs in our suite. You'll enjoy it.
I'd love that. I would love it.
Fun. Tell us about Heritage Foundation future. See, I think you guys are a future piece of MAGA 2.0, right? This is my vision, that you guys get back to the forefront on this, and I'm determined to drive that. What do you think?
I think it's fantastic. What we're doing at Heritage Action is huge. We're in 25 or 30 states now, working in state legislatures to get conservative agendas across the finish line. We have so many fantastic, courageous, conservative leaders in the states who need our support, and we love doing that. We love working with them. We love giving them the polling numbers. We love giving them, great legislation to work with. And our folks, our partner organization, the Heritage Foundation. So we have Heritage Action, and we do all the lobbying, and we have Heritage Foundation, and they do all the research and great policy work. And they hand us, you name it. If it's on the conservative agenda, Heritage is working on it and trying to get it done in the States and on Capitol Hill. We worked on BBCE, we're working on cryptocurrency now, we're working, with pro-life issues, family issues. It's, the power of work, the ability to work is a gift from God, and everybody should find their purpose and fulfill it. because it will bring you joy like nothing else can, right? Even if it's volunteering or school or whatever it is. But, Heritage wants to play a part in every single one of those things that bolster American life, that bring prosperity to our nation, that hold families together, that give their children an opportunity to flourish and grow and be the people that they were, created to be. And, for parents and grandparents like me, it's an amazing place to work. It's an amazing opportunity to bring those ideas to the forefront. I appreciate you, John, for giving us a platform to be able to do that.
Change is hard. Whenever you try to implement change, it's not easy. Your organization for years represented kind of the traditional conservative mantra, kind of the think tank mantra. That's where a lot of the conservatives went. You look at your former leaders. We're in a different world now. We're in a populist world. We're in a MAGA 2.0 world. We're in a coming to a post-Trump world. What does MAGA look like? What does our movement look like? And if you stay mired in the past of what you've done in the past, which was good then, the train leaves you at the station. And so what I love about what Kevin Roberts has done, and I don't have to agree with him on everything, it's irrelevant. What I love what he's done is that he understands that organization has to move to a different place in order to drive results and get progress. And that is difficult to do. That's why many of your board members have abandoned you guys. Good riddance. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. Here's your hat. What's your hurry? Like, we don't care. Board members want to leave because of change. And if you don't change, you become a dinosaur. And so that's what I think Roberts has done, looking at it from the outside. I don't know the internal workings. But when I see board members leaving because they don't like the change, if you don't change, you die. And so it was becoming a stale organization without the juice they had. And so I thought Roberts was trying to bring that back and do it in a way that's going to make a difference. That's why I'm a supporter of him, what he's done. And I think that the Heritage Foundation and Heritage Action could be on the cutting edge of MAGA 2.0 and be at the tip of the spear.
Appreciate that, John. Dr. Roberts is doing a great job. He's a perfect leader for this organization.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this segment, this little piece I just did, and send it to you. And I want you to give it to him.
Oh, I will.
I know I've got my vision here. I know is right. I know I'm spot on. How's that for confidence?
I think you are. I know you are. Of course you're right.
People want to follow you. Where do they go?
It's on the screen there. Stephanie Buhaila on Twitter. First and last name. No spaces.
Stephanie, we gotta roll. Corey Lewandowski, jumping at the bit. Up next. Keep it right here on the John Fredericks Media Network.
WJFN W224EB 92.7 FM Chester, W299DB 107.7 Barnaire, 100.5 FM Goochland, and WJFB Portsmouth AM 1650.
Hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Kuwait is accusing Iran of dispatching an armed Revolutionary Guard team to attack an island in the Mideast nation. Kuwait has come under repeated attack by Iran during the war. President Trump dismisses as garbage Iran's response to a U.S. peace proposal, raising the specter of further American military strikes on Iran. The president says America is doing a service to the entire world by denying the death to America regime nukes.
They're lunatics having a nuclear weapon. I deal with them. I say it to them. I say, you people are crazy. I deal with them. They talk differently. I say, you're crazy. You're crazy people. You're nuts. You're not having a nuclear weapon. They think they can talk me into it, and they don't do very well with it. But they know how I feel. They can't have a nuclear weapon. They would use it within an hour after getting it.
The president is set to leave for Beijing for talks with his Chinese counterpart, President Xi. The American Enterprise Institute's Matthew Continetti says President will be negotiating from a position of strength.
I think he wants that big trade deal that he's been seeking with China throughout his 2 terms. And here, I think we have to be a little bit wary right now. I think America has a lot of economic leverage over China at the moment. And you consider the effect of the tariffs on China. You look at how our economy is doing. We just had a fantastic job report.
Johnson Eddy on the Salem Radio Network. The president will be accompanied to China by an entourage of American tech, industry, and finance leaders. Stung by the Virginia Supreme Court's rejection of their extreme gerrymandering plan, Virginia Democrats now making a long-shot appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. The state Supreme Court ruled the 10-to-1 Democrat advantage map runs afoul of the state's constitution. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down 12 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven you can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
The Israeli parliament authorizes special military trials of suspects in the deadly October 2023 Hamas terror attack.
The new parliamentary session opened with this legislation, which had wide cross-party support, passing with 93 votes to 0. It will see a special military tribunal set up in Jerusalem with trials to be live-streamed. A panel of judges will be able to hand down the death penalty by a majority vote. This is justice for the victims, the hostages, the families, and the entire people of Israel, a sponsor of the bill said. Rights groups opposed the death penalty on moral grounds, but also criticized special legal procedures, saying they remove the right to a fair trial. They claim some testimony has been extracted through torture, which Israeli authorities deny.
The BBC's Yolande Nell. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer fighting for his political survival after a disastrous set of results in local elections. Townhall.com. The Trump nominee to lead FEMA is a familiar face.
President Donald Trump has nominated Cameron Hamilton to lead the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This marks a surprising comeback for Hamilton, who was fired last year after defending FEMA's existence. If confirmed, Hamilton will be FEMA's first permanent administrator in Trump's second term. The agency has gone through 3 temporary leaders, including Hamilton. He'll need to ensure the agency is prepared for the summer disaster season, while also answering to Trump, who is likely to expect major reforms after a council he appointed recommended sweeping changes last Friday. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The Treasury Department is pushing America's banks to monitor suspected Iranian money laundering networks. These networks use funds to smuggle sanctioned oil through shell companies and crypto networks. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey parents, plan an unforgettable summer. Send your kids to Rapidan Baptist Camp in Rochelle, Virginia. 1 week of nonstop fun and life-changing truth. Amazing preachers, friendly counselors, exciting activities. Ride an alpine coaster and zip line, a 250-foot water slide, and that's just the beginning. Junior camps for ages 7 to 12, teen camps for 13 to 18, 2-day Pee-wee camp with mom and dad for ages 4 to 8, and a brand new day camp option. Sign up today at camprapidan.com. That's camprapidan.com. Rapidan Baptist Camp, where faith and fun collide.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Trouble concentrating or recalling information is frustrating, embarrassing, and kills productivity. Nutrition company Healthy Cell created Focus and Recall to boost your brain power. Unlike other supplements that don't work, Focus and Recall is not a pill. It's a gel you swallow with ultra-absorption of science-backed ingredients to help you immediately sharpen focus, concentrate longer, and strengthen recall. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order. Risk-free. Love it or your money back. Guaranteed. Healthycell.com. Code Godzilla.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
President Trump and Buddy Carter are working to help Georgians keep more of what they earn by passing the largest tax cut in history, eliminating taxes on tips and overtime, and making the child tax credit permanent.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
From day one, Buddy Carter has stood with President Trump on his mission to make life more affordable for working families. But while President Trump and Buddy Carter were protecting our wallets, Congressman Mike Collins was abusing them. Congressman Collins is under federal investigation for misusing taxpayer funds to benefit himself and his cronies. According to the investigation report, Congressman Mike Collins, quote, may have violated federal law by shelling out government funds to one of his top aides. Georgia families have had enough of wasteful, corrupt career politicians. We just can't trust or afford Mike Collins. Paid for by Buddy Carter for Senate.
I'm Buddy Carter, and I approve this message.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you will destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with your host, Rick Hughes, every Sunday morning on the John Fredericks Radio Network. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul, built on God's Word. Join us every Sunday morning for 30 minutes of inspiration, motivation, and education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes, heard here every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. on the John Fredericks Radio Network.
John Fredericks.
It is the most egregious thing I've seen in a lifetime.
President Trump.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
When politics start getting wild.
They want to have every single thing that you don't want. Raise taxes, men and women's sports. They're going to open up their border.
Trump hits the speed dial.
Thank you for calling in on such short notice.
You came first, John.
Wake up with the John Fredericks Show weekday morning, 6 Eastern, 5 Central on JFMN.TV, the massive JFred Radio Network, and all across the socials.
You came first, John. Thank you very much, and you do a great job.
He's the voice of Virginia.
No, you can't. You have one of the worst voices I've ever heard in my life.
And the commander of common sense.
Fire at will, Commander.
Now back to the John Fredericks Show.
Oh, you got him back. I'm your Godzilla of the Truth in America and your Oracle of the Deplorables. Coming live in Washington, D.C. Truth and Clarity right here. Corey Lewandowski. Well, he's coming up next on deck. Cleanup hitter. Let's go. Corey, up next. This segment brought to you by the Safer Supervision Act. Look, here's the deal. Here's what's broken with the federal probation system. If you're out of jail and you got released by the judge and you're on supervision and you're doing all the right things and you have a supervisory officer, probation officer, if you will, and you're doing all the right things and you're drug and alcohol free and you have a job, there's no need to stay on supervision. No need for it, because that parole officer can spend his time not on the person that doesn't need it, but the person who does. Also, if you're on supervision, you have a job, they can call you in at a moment's notice. You got to leave work, put your job at risk, all bad. So under the Safer Supervision Act now making its way through Congress, it's very simple. If the probation officer makes a recommendation that one of his clients, if you will, one of the people he's supervising does not need supervision, then he recommends that to the judge. Judge then, second pair of eyes, looks at the facts, sign off on it, then he's released from supervision, and that parole officer can go focus on the people that need the supervision, that are struggling to get back into society. So this is why this is so critical. It's the natural extension of President Trump 1.0's First Step Act that, as everybody knows, I worked on with Jared very, very hard. Big believer in it. This is so critical. It's in markup now. For more information, visit safersupervision.com. That's safersupervision.com. This message paid for by the Reform Action Fund. Joining me now, Corey Lewandowski, best-selling author, New York Times, former campaign manager, Trump for president. When he took over, Trump was at 1%. When I endorsed him, he was at 1%. Corey turned the lights on, and here we are, second term, and this is the most consequential president probably in history. And Corey, you were right there at the beginning from day one, and you're still there. And now it looks like we're going to get to the summer of love and win these midterms. Corey, what do you think?
Well, John, the Supreme Court ruling this week, I guess late last week, was absolutely critical. And what the Supreme Court said was no longer do states have to design congressional districts based solely on race. In other words, you don't have to have a minority majority district. And if your listeners and viewers have ever looked at some of these districts, it's what they call gerrymandering. There's a very thin slice of North Carolina that follows one specific delegation. And the reason that delegation is followed, because that is where the majority of the African-American population is. So North Carolina has designated that district a minority district. Well, with the Supreme Court striking this down, it now gives the Republicans in less than 6 months the opportunity to hold the House, which I think many people believe prior to this decision, John, was bleak at best. Mm-hmm. This decision now, many believe, I think it's at least 5 seats. Some say as many as 13, could be 16. South Carolina is moving very quickly to do this. Louisiana has already done this. Virginia is doing this. They're appealing, as you know, that disastrous decision that they made, the voters made, and the state Supreme Court overruled. Now the Democrats are going to the U.S. Supreme Court on that. But you look at Ohio, you look at Missouri, you look at North Carolina, obviously the big states, Texas, where you can pick up 5, Florida, where you can pick up 4, and then you factor in Mississippi. Boy, you know, the Republicans all of a sudden have some wind in their sail, and they've needed it, John, because they've been getting their hat handed to them by not getting the Save America Act passed and many other things that they should have.
Let's get the SAVE Act in America in a minute. Corey Lewandowski with us. You were the general consultant for Governor Landry's big victory in Louisiana, both in the jungle primary and then in the final election, getting him over the top. But none of this would have happened without Louisiana.
Well, John, that's true. And listen, Governor Landry served 8 years as the Attorney General of the state. And what he did is he partnered with his current Attorney General Liz Merrill. And they said, let's take this immediately to the Supreme Court based on the new ruling. They did that. They got immediate relief. And now Louisiana has decided to go and redo their maps. What that means, John, is that the primary is probably going to shift now in Louisiana. There's a very competitive race in Louisiana for the U.S. Senate. Bill Cassidy, who's been an obstacle to Donald Trump's agenda, is up for re-election. President Trump has endorsed Julia Letlow, the member of Congress from Louisiana. She is running against a former member of Congress and the current treasurer, a guy by the name of John Fleming. But listen, if you're a Trump voter, you have to go and support Julia Letlow. She's an incredible candidate. She's a member of Congress. She's got the Trump endorsement. Governor Landry is with her. I'm with her. And the MAGA movement is with her. So because of Jeff Landry's leadership in Louisiana is why we are going to see a positive result come Election Day in November.
Corey, are you part of her campaign team?
Look, I'm not part of her team because I worked solely for Governor Landry in Louisiana. And, you know, he's been a friend of mine for a long, long time. And I will tell you, John, I remember primary night in Louisiana, what is now 3 years ago, because they run in the off year. And Jeff Landry was the first candidate since 1974 to not be an incumbent to avoid the jungle primary runoff. So he's an incredible leader. He's done amazing things with that great state. And because of his leadership and his prowess and understanding the way the law works, Jeff Landry is once again leading this country on putting us back on the right path.
Corey, how does a incumbent U.S. senator, Republican U.S. senator in Louisiana in this primary, he's in what, third place at like 20% of the vote. What the hell happened to Cassidy?
Well, what happened to Cassidy is the people of Louisiana woke up and saw what he was voting like every day. Look, this guy has been an obstacle to Donald Trump's agenda in the first term. He voted to impeach him. Most people don't remember that. But this is what it comes down to. The power of Donald Trump is holistic. And when Donald Trump's team gets behind a candidate, they have incredible success, like in the 99 percentile of winning these primary races. And so Julia Letlow is a great candidate. She's very smart. Her husband, I think many people know, was a member of Congress. He actually died from COVID while he was a member of Congress. She ran for his seat. She's a PhD, a great candidate, hard worker, and I think she's going to be a phenomenal U.S. senator. So my vote is with Julia, if I had a vote in Louisiana, but my support is with Julia Letlow in that Senate race.
Corey Lewandowski with us. Corey, let's get to the SAVE Act. How do we get this passed?
We could fire John Thune. I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, the problem is these guys, John, the only time these guys leave the U.S. Senate are in pine boxes, right? We've got so many octogenarians. And, for your listeners, those are people who are over 80 years old. And by the way, I'll just go back to John Fleming in Louisiana. The guy's 80 years old. He's running for the U.S. Senate. I mean, give me a break. Can't we get some new young people in there? The problem is these guys go there and they never leave. It's the greatest job they've ever had. When Mitch McConnell finally leaves the U.S. Senate, he'll have served 42 years and he's 84 years old. That means literally 50% of his life has been in the U.S. Senate. And you have to ask yourself, what's his signature accomplishment? I don't know. I mean, look, I guess he got us a couple judges in the first Trump administration. But this is a critically important piece of legislation. And John Thune, who's the majority leader, cannot get it across the finish line. Unfortunately, he's from a state where he doesn't face a lot of difficulty in his reelection effort. He's not up for at least another 2 years. And so the only thing we can do is send people to Washington, D.C. that are going to actually support the president's agenda.
I think what's annoying to people, like, it's not only we don't have the votes to get rid of the filibuster, right? So I understand that you don't have the votes, you don't have the votes. He's been an obstacle to that, but he hasn't even brought it to the floor so people can vote on it, so we can see where they stand. Why?
John, it's very simple. When you're a leader, okay, you're supposed to let the people, you take your leadership, but then you go and let the people vote. That's how it's supposed to work. Leader Thune has refused to do that. He says he refuses to, change the filibuster rules. John, I'm going to make a bold prediction today on May 12th, 2026. You know what's going to happen if the Democrats take back the Senate? They're going to destroy the filibuster rule in about 15 seconds. Chuck Schumer's going to say, hey, we don't need that anymore. It's gone. Goodbye. Filibuster. See you later. The Republicans are so weak, John. That's always been their problem. They're never tough. They can never follow through on things. And this is why the American people get frustrated. They send a Republican to run the House. They send a Republican to run the Senate. They send a Republican with Donald Trump to the White House to get things done. And we end up with these feckless leaders, some of them, who just won't get stuff done. And it puts Donald Trump in a difficult spot and makes our midterm elections much more difficult.
Corey, tell me about New Hampshire. What you see there. Can Sununu win? And tell me about the House seats.
John, the good news in New Hampshire is Kelly Ayotte, the governor, has decided to finally move the primary forward. As you know, New Hampshire has always been the last state in America to hold their primary in September. So it's going to finally get moved up. The legislature decided to do that, and Governor Ayotte signed that. That will help going forward. It won't impact this race. It won't impact this race, John, but it will after this election. That being said, John E. Sununu, who is the brother of the former governor, Chris Sununu, and a former U.S. senator himself, is by far the best candidate that we have up there in that race. It's a very competitive race. Donald Trump is not on the ballot, as you know. And so the only people driving that election are going to be Governor Sununu. Kelly Ayotte is on the ballot. She's up every 2 years. The governor's race is different. So it's going to be a competitive race. The problem we're faced with is states like Ohio that are going to cost us $50 or $60 or $70 million to defeat Sherrod Brown again and keep John Husted in office. New Hampshire has an expensive media market because it comes out of Boston. And there's not a lot of wealth in New Hampshire per se. So you don't have a lot of donors who get to give to John E. Sununu. He's doing a fine job raising money, but this is the Democrats' poll. This is the retirement of Senator Jeanne Shaheen. So they're all in to hold the seat. We have to do everything right to win that seat. And the same is true in both congressional districts out there, John, 1 and 2. 1, the first district, which is the eastern part of the state, is much more competitive. Governor and former governor and current U.S. Senator Shaheen's daughter is running for that seat as a Democrat. They have an institution of network up there. I mean, they are the who's who of the Democratic Party. And so she is the odds-on favorite to win that primary. And if that is the case, you'll see enormous amount of capital being poured into that district. So both of those districts are incredibly difficult for us to win. Had Chris Sununu, then Governor Sununu, signed the redistricting properly, we would have had a much more competitive first congressional seat and likely would have won it much easier.
What about the other seat, 2?
The other seat is tough, John. It's the whole western part. The district goes all the way from the Vermont border all the way down to the Massachusetts border. It's the western part of the state. It's got areas like Keene in it, which is a very liberal town, and it's a very rural area. Much less media coverage in that area. So you don't have Manchester, but you do have Concord. And so you've got some really tough communities. I actually happen to live in the 2nd Congressional District. My hometown of Windham is right on the border right there for the population. And we're a conservative town. But by and large, John, a very, very difficult place to win because it's so rural and not a lot of media coverage over there.
What about the governor's re-election?
Governor Ayotte's going to win that race. She's done a good job as a Republican governor in what is becoming an increasingly blue, left-leaning state. She is a moderate Republican. She wouldn't do well probably in South Carolina or in Alabama, but she's not running there. She has to run in the place that she's in. So I give credit to Kelly Ayotte. She's done a good job as the governor there. She is surrounded by 400 state representatives, all of which claim to be her boss. And the executive council, which is like a board of governors that she has to also report to. A very difficult thing to know that you have to run every 2 years.
Corey, based on the way that state is trending, is your no income tax in New Hampshire at risk? No state income tax.
John, I think it'd be very, very hard to get rid of that. Look, we've got a good business climate. We've got no income tax and we've got no sales tax. There's only 2 states in America that have that. It's us and the state of Alaska. There are many states that don't have an income tax, but no other state other than Alaska doesn't have an income tax or a sales tax. And John, listen, I spend a lot of time in Florida now, try and go back and forth. The luxury of not having the income tax is you don't have to count your days. President, you have to count every day you're not in the state, so you're not paying that. I don't have that problem. So in order for New Hampshire to stay competitive, and in order for us to continue to solicit businesses away from those high tax states like Massachusetts, we have to have a competitive marketplace, which is no income tax and no sales tax.
Well, that's the absolute way to do it, and you guys are like the shining state because you're the only one that has that. Let's go to Maine. Susan Collins running against this guy Graham Plattner, who's bat crap crazy. It's kind of like a revolutionary communist. What's the deal there?
Susan Collins has represented the state of Maine for a very long time in the U.S. Senate. Again, not my type of typical conservative Republican voter, but Susan Collins is going to win in the state of Maine because she knows her people there. She knows what it takes to win there. She's done a very good job. And John, you mentioned this last time we were together. Susan Collins has been with us, meaning the Republicans, in the U.S. Senate on every important vote that we have asked for. And that's important. There are so many. You look at some of these others who could have made those easy votes. You think of Mitt Romney, you think of so many others that have come from more conservative states, Utah, or in this case, Cassidy in Louisiana, right? And they voted against Donald Trump. So Susan Collins has a difficult task in front of her. She is a proven winner. She's going to win that election. She's going to have to spend some money. The Democrats are going to come after her very hard, but she's not a hardliner, John. She's a moderate. She's a good fit for her state, and she's the only person who's going to win as a Republican up there. So Susan Collins is going to be important, and the most important vote Susan Collins makes is for the majority leader, and that's not going to be Chuck Schumer.
Can we win the 2nd district with LePage?
I love Paul. Paul is Governor LePage is a proven winner. He's won that district twice in a multi-candidate field. The second district is one where Donald Trump has carried now 3 times. We've had success in the second district. And for your listeners and viewers, that's the district in the most northern part of Maine. It's basically everything from almost Portland all the way straight north. So it's a massive district. And I know I'm from New England, and so the states are small, but the state of Maine is the size of all the other New England states combined. And when you're from Texas or, other states, you think that, boy, it's a little baby state, which is all true. But that's a very big congressional district. Paul LePage has 100% name ID. He is a fighter. He's exactly the type of person that I think can get elected from that district up there. So if anybody can do it, it's going to be him. But again, the Republicans got to put money into that race, John. And, they seem to be fairly reserved in some of their resources right now. And I'm not exactly sure why. Paul LePage is a good investment in the state of Maine.
Well, I was, MAGA Inc. has got some enormous amount, $300 million. And there's been some criticism that they've not spent enough money early. Do you share that?
Well, listen, John, money is the lifeblood of politics, right? And part of the money has to be spent to get the right candidate through the primary. It's very important, because if you pick a candidate that can't win a general election, doesn't do us any good. I think we probably selfishly missed an opportunity in Ohio 9 last week. We picked a candidate who ran the last time. We re-nominated him again. I think there could have been a better candidate, but the White House stayed out of that race for whatever reason. That being said, I do think MAGA Inc. needs to get involved. Early money goes further. Late money doesn't go as far because the market is crowded. The media market is crowded. The cost per point, gross rating point, goes up. And so as you look at some of these races that are still going on, the early money should be spent to make sure we get the right candidate. I think it is a little bit of a fair criticism, John. I'm not overly concerned, but they have to come through in the general election.
I don't know what they're sitting on the money for, I guess, is what a lot of us are thinking. I mean, it's like $300 million. That's just a lot of money. And, you can sit on it. But the point you just made, you try to spend it late. The cost per everything goes up dramatically. When you spend some of that money early, you can move the needle a little bit for a fraction of the cost. Do you have a choice in the South Carolina governor's race?
John, my choice is easy. Anybody but Mace. That's my choice. Look, I'm not involved in the race, but honestly, John, she's a lunatic. Okay, let's just not kid ourselves. Your viewers know this. Your people know this. Nancy Mace was part of the 2015, 2016 campaign at the very beginning. She didn't last very long. She went back and ran for office. I think that President Trump has supported every candidate that's ever run against Nancy Mace, from Katie Arrington to, whoever, because Nancy is just not a good person and not a good candidate. So I think, and full disclosure, Governor McMaster is a friend of mine. I consider him a friend. Maybe he doesn't consider me a friend, but I consider him a friend. He's a good man. I've known him a long time. And he is supporting the lieutenant governor in that race. It makes logical sense. Well, they run on a separate ticket down there. I think I would defer to Governor McMaster because he's a man who has served in every single statewide office, from attorney general to governor to treasurer. Henry is an icon in South Carolina, and so I defer to him. And if he's with the lieutenant governor, I'm with Governor McMaster.
Yeah, he's with Pam Evitt, and I think that's where I'm going to go with Pam Evitt. I mean, it's tough because, I work with Nancy. You brought her in, and she became like one of the regional
John, we all
directors.
make mistakes. We all make mistakes sometimes, John. I don't pick a lot of bad ones, but that one I did.
You did. So I work with her, and when I was chairman, when you made me chairman of Virginia, obviously she was part of the team that I worked with. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the things that have come down now are, look, she's been through, as you know, she's been through some tough things in her life. But I'm not sure this particular opportunity is right for her. Let me leave it at that. How about that? I'll leave it at that.
I think that, John, listen, we've all been through tough things. You have been, I have been.
Oh, yeah.
We've all been on the other side of what they call the respective barrel. That being said, we are not running for governor to lead a state, which is critically important, not just, John, from a legislative side, but think of the importance of South Carolina in the legislative process of picking the next president. Think of how important it was for Joe Biden. If he had lost South Carolina, he wouldn't have been the nominee. Donald Trump won South Carolina after he came in first in New Hampshire and then first in South Carolina That was Marco Rubio in 2016. I'm a big fan of Secretary Rubio, but that was his Waterloo. And after that, the race just fell apart for everybody else because Donald Trump is so dominant in South Carolina. So the governor of South Carolina is critically important when it comes to picking the right candidate and having your team in place for the next presidential election in 2028.
I look forward to seeing what team you're going to be on in 2028. I mean, it's a little premature for that, obviously. We got to get through the midterms, but I think that's going to be very interesting. Don't you?
John, I think it's going to be an exciting race. My prediction, and John, I'm pretty good at this stuff. It's going to be a wide open race. I think you'll see a lot of people get in, from Governor DeSantis to maybe Governor Youngkin to Ted Cruz to Josh Hawley to so many others. I think they're all going to get in the race. And I don't know this to be true, John, but my guess is President Trump is going to sit it out and just say, good luck, fellas. Go have a good time. Go win Iowa. Go win New Hampshire, go win South Carolina, go win Nevada, and then prove yourself to the American people. I don't know that to be true, John. Look, maybe JD gets in, JD Vance, Vice President Vance, maybe he doesn't, but I think this is going to be a wide open race in 2028.
I agree with you 100%. And I tell you the other thing, I'll just throw this out. I think Ron DeSantis learned from that disastrous campaign he had, surrounding himself with, the Ken Cuccinellis of the world and just the backstabbers and everything else. The vicious never Trumpers. I think he learned, and I think what he did in Florida got himself back in the national conversation. And he's been an extraordinary governor. I wouldn't count him out, Corey. I just wouldn't.
John, politics is so unique. Everybody gets multiple lives. People who you think are dead and gone, they come back and all of a sudden they're successful. You only have to win one election. Remember Abraham Lincoln? He kept losing and losing and losing. He finally wins and then boom, he becomes the president. People forget all the losses. So I will say this, John, you're never out of this game until you take yourself out of the game. And those candidates that have resiliency and can get back in the spotlight and talk about things that the American people care about, John. And I will say this. Immigration is going to be an issue in the 2028 election. I promise you. Deportations and getting illegals in this country out is going to be an issue. That is going to always be the issue. Foreign policy will be less of an issue. It will be the economy, and those governors who have done very well by their state will have a strong record to stand on.
I don't think there's any doubt. All right, Corey, final thing, and I got to let you go. I'm doing a bus tour in New Hampshire. I want to start in Wyndham. I want to start at Al's place. Bruce, Benton, all your friends have got to be there. So what's the best time for me to do that?
John, you want to do it for the general election, right? Is that what you're saying? So
we could do it during the primary. We could do it over the summer, whatever you think is best.
No, look, here's the problem with the summer. Nobody wants, everyone's up at the lake and doing stuff in the summer. Look, I like to I always say the unofficial start of a campaign is Labor Day. Right? That's when it starts. It's September. People are cool. People are focused. And that's when I would be there, John. And by the way, it's an incredible time. You've been to New Hampshire many times. The leaves change. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a little cooler in the evenings, perfect during the daytime. People will come out, the elderly, the kids come out after school. Those people are engaged and they start talking about those elections. So right around Labor Day, John, would be my recommendation. Letizio says he'll pay for the whole thing. He's very rich. So Al pay for the whole thing.
I'm going to tell Al you said that. So we come up, the week of Labor Day and stay the middle of the week. When's the primary?
Yeah, I think that's right, John. I have to look, but I would say, my guess is you come up like the Tuesday, Wednesday after Labor Day and you stay for 3 or 4 beautiful days and we'll have an incredible time in the great state of New Hampshire and we will welcome you as we always do with open arms.
You guys are the best. All right, I'm going to plan on that. Corey Lewandowski, thank you for being with us, Corey. People want to follow you. Where do they go?
They can go to X. It's just C Lewandowski _X. I'm the guy who, if you look at all the, feed, it's one with all the hate on it, John. All the haters respond. So that's the one. So I have some kind words for a change.
Well, you're going to be part of the summer of love. I love you. So I'll make up for all the haters. You're a great
Thank
guy.
you, my friend. All the best, John.
And a great friend of mine and Ann's for a very long time. And thank
you. You bet. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Man. Take care.
All right. Jason Simmons next.
Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund. Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you will destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with your host, Rick Hughes, every Sunday morning on the John Fredericks Radio Network. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul, built on God's Word. Join us every Sunday morning for 30 minutes of inspiration, motivation, and education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes, heard here every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. on the John Fredericks Radio Network.
Mike, at any point in your coaching career, did you ever have an interest or express an interest in being a head coach in the college game? And do you have any idea how that may or may not have led to folks like Ryan and Doug Whaley and Carson Palmer connecting you to some college jobs?
Hey, guys, I don't have time for that speculation. I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it. And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
Anyone else? All right.
Thank you. Anybody asking Sean Payton about that? You know, anybody asking Andy Reid about stuff like that?
He's your Godzilla of the truth in America.
It's Godzilla!
No gibberish or nonsense, just common sense. And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
You got him. You're on the John Fredericks Media Network, trucking the truth across America. Truth and clarity right here. Jason Simmons, Chairman, North Carolina. It's Chairman's Corner. That's right. Actually, we have a graphic for this. You probably don't know this, Dan, but Tina sent you a graphic, or she should have. We do have a graphic for this. Be sure you reach out to Tina. We have it because we had Jason's picture up and everything on our graphic. Chairman's Corner, going to North Carolina, the Tar Heel State. What better way to introduce it than with Mike Tomlin? Talking about going and coaching. Maybe Tomlin will go to the North Carolina. Oh, I'm sorry. Bill Belichick is there, right? Maybe he'll go to New England when they get rid of Vrabel for the nonsense that's going on in the locker room. Anyway, we're not here to talk about pro football. We're here to talk politics with the chairman of the Republican Party of North Carolina, Jason Simmons. Jason, you're on Chairman's Corner. Thanks for being with us.
Great to be with you, John.
Now, people that don't know Jason is a MAGA movement conservative. He was the executive director for Chairman Whatley for some time in North Carolina. He was also ran several of the southern states in Trump's re-election campaign in 2020, where I got to work with him. And he taught me a lot, one of the sharpest minds out there. Now the chairman of one of the most critical swing states we have in the midterms, Jason Simmons. Jason, thanks for being with us again. Let's get right to redistricting. Lay it out for us. What happens? What is Cooper's involvement in it? How do we get this done?
Yeah, well, North Carolina's already gone through redistricting last year, where our legislature came back and met, and they've gone ahead and already instituted redistricting, which we anticipate being able to pick up one additional seat. We'll see what happens going forward now that we've seen what the Supreme Court says with the Voting Rights Act and how that may play with the future maps. But as we go into this upcoming election, we've already changed our maps. This is actually our 7th map in 9 congressional cycles. So we are quite accustomed to redistricting. But we're looking forward to picking up at least one additional seat here in North Carolina.
So even though the Supreme Court ruled the one district that you have, which is obviously racially gerrymandered, right? If you look at it, that's obvious. So that district is actually, according to SCOTUS, illegal. What you're saying is you guys can't do anything until 2028.
Yeah, so we've already gone ahead and redistricted late last year. And so that's going to go ahead and give us an opportunity to pick up one additional seat on top of the 3 that we picked up last cycle with our redistricting efforts. So within 2 cycles, we're already looking at a net positive 4 with potential runway in the future.
So those 4 seats you have, are you going to be the 3 you picked up in 2024? Are you going to be able to hold those?
Yeah, we fully anticipate. We've got good candidates that picked up those seats. and they're in good, safe areas. And we look forward to being able to have them go out there and defend their record, especially with the big, beautiful bill and everything else that came forward with the tax cuts reliefs that people are feeling this year.
Jason, tell us about your Senate race. Your former chairman, Michael Watley, also former chairman of the Republican National Committee, great friend of mine, great guy. Tell us about that campaign. And he's up against probably the toughest Democrat candidate this side of John Ossoff. Tell me about how that campaign is going and the pathway for Watley's victory.
Yeah, well, we continue to find ways to beat up Roy Cooper, and it's not been hard. Just last week, New York Post posted a story that highlighted the 3,500 individuals, convicted criminals that he put back on the streets during COVID. From that report, you see over half, nearly half, have committed new felons, to include over 80 sexual offenses, over 500 felonies, to include 18 individuals that have been charged with murder, and the poster child of that being DeCarlos Brown and the horrific act that he committed on the Charlotte light rail system with the murder of Irina Zruska. All of that is on Roy Cooper, and the blood of especially these 18 individuals plus Irina is on his hands.
How is that playing out in the polls?
Well, you're continuing to see a quiet summer really right now, and we anticipate, especially as we ramp up, because you're not seeing a lot of spend on either side yet. So relatively still quiet on both sides. But what I continue to see is Roy Cooper really not cracking 50%. And so for an individual who's been a career politician with universal name ID, his favorables are not where you would anticipate a favorable candidate to be, especially with the universal name ID. Michael Watley, self-admittedly, has some runway, especially to be able to get his name out there and be able to have really who he is and what he stands for, being able to restore that American dream that he's been so lucky and benefited from by living that American dream and passing that on to the future generations.
Jason, how is Mike taken to the campaign trail?
Oh, like a natural. He is out there every day. He's moving around our 100 counties. You can't find a county that he hasn't been to basically at this point. So he is moving around, raising money, and doing a great job getting his message out to the voters of North Carolina, why Roy Cooper is such a failure and why he would be a rubber stamp for the Democrats, especially Chuck Schumer and the Democrat woke policies.
When the Raleigh Triangle became kind of the Silicon Valley of the South, a lot of Democrats moved in to North Carolina. Now, a lot of people just in general are moving there for a lot of different reasons, economic, lower taxes, etc. As chairman of the party, are you seeing a trend now of more Republicans moving in, or is it still the same because you had huge influx of blue voters moving into the Raleigh Triangle?
Sure. Along that 85 corridor from Charlotte over to Raleigh, yeah, you're seeing an influx of especially young professionals, Democrats moving into North Carolina. But what we've also seen conversely is along our coastal communities, a number of retirees that are fleeing those blue states, New York, New Jersey, and that tri-state area, coming down to North Carolina because of its quality of life, the lower taxes, the investments that our legislature has put into public safety, our school systems, that makes North Carolina the greatest place to work, to live, to educate, to retire. So you're seeing that. And what that's conversely done for us is just this year in January, Republicans took over the voter registration advantage from Democrats for the first time in our state party history.
And so that has never been done. And how long have you had party registration there?
Oh, we're talking decades. So
it is anything new, but this is for the first time you took it over. Since you've been there, give us a feel of how you closed the delta. What was the delta there, the gap?
Sure. It's getting out there and telling our story and getting in front of especially these new movers that are coming to North Carolina and educating them why they've moved to North Carolina, especially, again, along that 85 corridor. You've got these young professionals that are coming to North Carolina because of the business investments that businesses have made, because of the lower corporate taxes, the lower individual taxes that have made North Carolina the number one place to do business. So it's getting out there and educating the voters of North Carolina, educating and welcoming these new movers into the coastal communities and across North Carolina, and really educating and informing them why North Carolina is such a great place to be. But it's because of Republican policies. Don't bring those woke blue ideologies to North Carolina and ruin this great state like we've seen in too many other blue states.
Well, I lived there, as you know, 1 year with Ann. Joe finished his high school there. He went to a baseball high school in Raleigh, and we lived in what we called Woke County, and we were just shocked to go to a red state and the number of liberals that were in the Raleigh area where we lived. I think we were in Holly Springs for a year, which was a little Republican enclave because we kind of look at the areas before we went there. So that was a little red enclave, but the county itself was crazy. I mean, I never saw so many people with masks on in my life when I was there, Woke County. So hopefully you can change
it.
That.
All shut down because of Roy Cooper.
Exactly. No doubt about it. Tell us about your state house makeup, state senators, representatives. Tell us the makeup of that, Jason Simmons.
Sure. Yeah, in our state Senate, we have a supermajority. In our state House, we're 1 seat shy of a supermajority. But we've seen just since the primaries, 2 Democrats that have switched their party registration from Democrat to unaffiliated. These are individuals that voted with Republicans on veto overrides. Democrats went and targeted them, took them out during the primaries. And so we've welcomed them as part of kind of the informal Republican caucus there in the House because of how Democrats have so shamed them and treated them. And so we look forward to this short session wrapping up here in the next few weeks, continuing to make investments in our citizens, in businesses, and especially in education.
You guys have a red state. How do you end up with 2 Democratic governors, Jason, in a row?
Yeah, it's you look at the history of North Carolina, and we've only had 3 Republican governors since Reconstruction. So while we vote red with our federal races, with a number of our state races, the Democrats, especially on those governor races, portray themselves as very centrist type of individuals. And then, as we've seen with Abigail Spanberg, they run to the far left once they get into office. And so, that's the job that we have continuing to move forward, especially into 28 when the governor's race is up again.
Give us a feel, Jason. You've been around a very long time. You were very instrumental in Trump's re-election for Trump won in 2020. Give us your sense overall of where the Republican Party is right now nationally.
Well, I think everybody's waiting to see what happens, especially with Iran. Before we went into Iran, there was a lot of positive momentum. You saw a lot of goodwill and good feeling, especially in the polling towards the Republican Party and its policies. There's still that underlying fundamental policies that are in place. We look forward, and again, we are in Iran because Democrats and others previously refused to do the tough job. We give President Trump a lot of credit, making sure Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. And you've seen how Iran over generations has been such a bad actor and really cost millions of lives across our globe because of their policies and how they've acted as a terrorist state. So we applaud President Trump, but I think, we're all looking forward to continuing focusing on the economy, lowering interest rates when we get the new Fed chair, and continuing to push hard on the economic engines that President Trump has allowed with his conditions with the big, beautiful bill last year.
When you're looking to a lot of people moving out of the Northeast, so you're coming from New York, New Jersey, some of these liberal states, North Carolina, very attractive, great weather, great state, great shoreline. Explain to people that might be interested in going to your state who are Republicans what the tax structure is there.
Yeah, you've seen the individual tax rate go from 7.99 down to under 4% now, and it continues to go lower and lower. Our legislature has been very committed to reducing both the corporate and the individual tax rate. Again, reducing that burden on its citizens, making, again, the investments, though, in public safety, in our education, allowing parents, children to have educational choices with our opportunity scholarships. So again, North Carolina, the Republican legislature over the last 15 years has done such a great job with the fundamentals of our economy and making North Carolina such an attractive place to come. Now, I would just say, if you're coming to North Carolina, leave those woke policies at the border because we don't need those. We need to make sure we continue on that trajectory of strong investments in our economy through lower taxes.
How do we win the midterms?
Well, it's again getting that message out, and especially talking to the voters earlier. You've got a number of those Trump voters, as we've talked about before, who they vote in those presidential years, but they don't come out in those midterm years. We've got to get in front of them earlier and often to have those conversations with them. Why President Trump, his name may not be on the ballot, but his policies are. And so getting in front of them earlier to get them out to vote for Michael Whatley and our Republican ticket up and down the ballot.
Well, you know, the good news is, Jason, is we got him out in Virginia with no Trump, no name, nobody on the ballot. It was for a map. They came out in record numbers, almost defeated that before the Supreme Court even had to get involved. Yep. And then we followed that up with a massive turnout in Indiana in obscure state Senate races, Trump voters getting out and voting for people with no name ID they never heard of against longstanding incumbents over what happened with the Indiana redistricting debacle. That to me is a good sign that I think the Democrats have poked the bear now. And if you look at these two states, Trump voters have turned out both times in massive numbers exceeding expectations. How do we take that and translate that to the midterms in all these states?
Well, again, it is education, and President Trump is the greatest educator for his constituents, making sure that they understand what's at stake, and especially when President Trump puts his stamp on that, making sure that that message gets out to those voters. These are voters that are very hard at times to get in front of. You don't have kind of the normal methods by which people are accustomed to and getting in front of them. So there's more non-traditional means in getting in front of these voters and having those conversations one person at a time, but making sure that, again, they're informed and also understand when, where, and what to vote for when they show up.
Jason, across the board, we've had great success finally in educating our voters on the power of early voting. You might not like it, but you can't let the Democrats have 2 months or we have 10 hours. You just can't win. So we're closing the gap on early voting. Finally, we're washing to the side the nonsense about servers on the moon and algorithms and magic thumb drives and whatever nonsense got spewed out there that were hurting us. So that is becoming something that we've been able to do now effectively. And it's one of the reasons why I think we can win. But we're really behind the eight ball, Jason, in understanding the Democrat mail-in, mail-out ballot harvest machine. We don't have one to match it. And we saw it in Virginia. We got killed in mail-in ballots, 75 to 25, and it represented 12% of the vote. That's what swung that referendum. As chairman, do you have a vision or a plan in place on how we can compete with the Democrats on mail-in ballots?
Yeah, so especially here in North Carolina, we've changed some of the rules and the laws on mail-in ballots. So more restrictive on the ability for what people would call ballot harvesting. And so we know, traditionally who may have requested those absentee ballots, but we don't know in the cycle who has. And so we can only go based off of historic information. But we can put in methods and mechanisms to be able to inform, educate, and especially those voters that we believe would be more susceptible to voting by mail. Again, Democrats, they understand here are the rules of the rule. Let's go ahead and operate by them. For far too long, and you pointed it out, John, when it comes to early voting, we would jump up and down, we would complain, and we'd rant and rave that we didn't like it. Well, the entire time, Democrats are, sending their people to the polls during early voting. We've done a great job as a party, and especially last cycle here in North Carolina, where we won early vote for the first time by, again, getting in front of those voters and telling them why it was important for us to have you go vote early. You vote early, it takes you off of our universe of people to go contact, and we're able to go ahead and segment more resources to those other voters. So again, it's helping people understand why, as opposed to complaining and ranting and raving. We would all love to see one day of voting on election day and being able to have a secure system that we all know is transparent and can be trusted. But if we know what the rules of the road are, let's go ahead, execute those plans, and win.
Well, that's why you're an extraordinary chairman, because you're one of the only states that actually was able to win early voting in the last cycle. A lot of us, we're getting closer. In the referendum in Virginia, we lost early voting by 1.2%, which is a phenomenal effort. So, look, it's been an education. It's getting there. A lot of our base wants to vote on game day. I get it. But I encourage everybody, vote early so we bank your vote. Nothing happens to you. And then we can spend those resources getting our lower propensity voters out. But now we need a mail-in ballot program. The Democrats are 4 cycles ahead of us here, Jason. And because the way you pulled off early voting in North Carolina, I know that you're going to be a leader in how we design a mail-in ballot campaign where we can compete with the Dems, because we don't have to beat them on mail-in ballots. We just have to compete. And if we can do that, I think we're going to win a lot of these seats that people think we're going to lose. Okay, final thing. I got to get to this. I saved the best for last, right? NHL, Stanley Cup, Carolina Hurricanes. Right now, 8-0 in the playoffs. They look unbeatable. Now, you've been here before, right? They look great on paper. They win the first round, and then they go nowhere. And they got another round coming up, but they've won all 8 games. They're rested, not tanned, ready. Hurricanes, 26. What's your take?
Well, we love seeing those brooms out. And so we look forward to the next round, get those brooms ready, onto the Stanley Cup final, and let's get ready for a parade.
Well, look, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be Avalanche. They won again last night. I picked them. That was my one big winner last night. I think Minnesota, as tough as they are, is done. But that looks like right now the final. Although, you just can't count these kids out of Montreal. I mean, I think they end up. I don't know if they're going to beat Buffalo or not. I think you match up better against Buffalo. Problem with this Montreal team, they're a bunch of young players, 19. It's like they play on an ice hockey pond. I mean, they don't fear anything. And so I think that's probably your worst matchup. Although, the Sabres have been tough all season. That's not going to be a sweep. That's going to go 6-7 games. And then you have to meet Denver, who's been the best team in the NHL. So, but look, the Caniacs are out. If you've never, I know you've been there, just saying to my overall audience, if you've never been to a Caniacs game, that is up there with maybe the top 3 hockey experiences at home you're ever going to find. Those fans go berserk. So
it's a great time.
It really, really is. If you're in Raleigh, check them out. But I like the Canes to get to the finals, and then we'll see what happens. You can always get my picks. Go to GazellaWins.com. Jason, thanks for being with us. People want to follow you. Great update, by the way, on Chairman's Corner. Where do they go?
Go to Simmons NCGOP on Twitter or X.
Jason, thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing everything that's going on in the Tar Heel State. Thank you, Jason. Texas Truth Line next. Keep it right here.
This is WJFN Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFB Portsmouth, part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Inflation, as measured by the Consumer Price Index, shot higher last month, hitting a 3-year high as consumer prices rose 3.8% year over year. Big contributor to the price spike, cost of energy. Accompanied by a bevy of American tech, industry, and financial leaders, President Trump is about to take off for Beijing in talks with his Chinese counterpart. Correspondent Eduardo Castillo says this will be Mr. Trump's second visit to China as president.
President Donald Trump travels to Beijing this week, marking the first visit to China by a U.S. president in nearly a decade, the last one by Trump. As Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping get ready to meet, both countries have said that the relationship has been relatively stable, and they want to keep it that way. But there are still some issues unresolved. For example, trade tensions persist. And although it's possible there's going to be an extended truce, some experts think that the broader conflict is far from over. Technology is another sticking point, with the U.S. limiting exports of advanced chips to China.
President Trump says his main objective in the standoff with Tehran remains the same: no nuclear weapon for Iran.
If the Obama deal wasn't terminated by me, they would have had it 6 years ago, and they would have used it immediately on Israel and also the rest of the Middle East. You saw that when they started shooting rockets. Nobody thought Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE were going to get hit, or Kuwait, Bahrain. I think it was a tremendous strategic mistake, and they wasted those missiles. We have the Patriots that knocked them down every time.
The U.S. Supreme Court has set the stage for Alabama to get rid of one of two largely black congressional districts before this year's midterm elections. On Wall Street, Dow futures are down 2 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Looking for a great real estate agent? Someone who can help you sell your home fast and for top dollar? Go to ready.com, REDY.com. Because on Ready, agents will pay you just for the opportunity to sell your home. Yeah, on Ready, agents will pay you for your listing. Thousands of dollars up front just for a chance to sell your home. And it's easy. Just go to ready.com, enter your address, and when you want to sell. In just 48 hours, the best local agents are competing on Ready to be your agent with cash offers up front just to win your business. Hey, your listing is valuable. Don't give it away. Make those agents earn it. Get paid to pick your real estate agent. Go to ready.com or call 800-885-REDY. 800-885-READY.
There's a new Trump nominee to lead the beleaguered TSA.
President Donald Trump has nominated David Cummins to head the Transportation Security Administration. If confirmed, Cummins, who worked as a senior vice president at government contractor Serco, would take over a TSA bruised by the longest partial government shutdown in history, during which employees went without paychecks. Thousands of TSA employees did not show up to work. Hundreds quit entirely, leaving travelers frustrated and politicians pointing fingers over who was to blame for shutting down the Department of Homeland Security. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer tells his cabinet he will not resign, despite growing calls from within his Labour Party. Starmer is trying to rally support after big losses in last week's local elections. Earlier today, a junior minister became the first to resign, urging Starmer to follow suit. News and analysis, townhall.com. The MD-11 cargo planes involved in last fall's deadly UPS crash in Louisville will be returning to the air.
The plane crashed shortly after takeoff after the left engine flew off the wing. 3 pilots were killed, along with 12 more people on the ground. The Federal Aviation Administration says it approved Boeing's proposed fix for the workhorse MD-11s after extensive review. Lawyers representing some of the families that lost loved ones say they hope the FAA was thorough enough to ensure the planes are safe. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The global maritime industry is facing a looming shortage of the fuel that powers ships as the Iran war chokes off a key shipping lane in the Strait of Hormuz. About 80% of globally traded goods are transported by sea. Experts say consumers and businesses should brace for price spikes to shipping costs and impacts to their bottom lines. More on these stories, townhall.com.
In a time when everything feels political, one place must rise above it all: the courtroom, where the law rules and integrity matters. In 2020, Georgians came together, electing a justice who believes in protecting our courts.
I'm Georgia Supreme Court Justice Sarah Warren, and here's what I believe. I believe in the rule of law, the separation of powers, and a judge's limited role to interpret the law as written. I believe in a nonpartisan judiciary, impartial judges who don't advocate for political positions or outcomes. I believe in deciding cases without bias or favor, treating everyone with dignity and respect. As a justice on your Supreme Court, I've upheld these values. With your support, we'll maintain the integrity of our courts.
Vote to re-elect Justice Sarah Warren. Vote early starting April 27th or on Election Day, May 19th. Paid for by Georgians for Justice Warren, Inc.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
How much did you win at Rosie's Gaming Emporium?
Hi, I'm Jerry from Richmond. I won a $23,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
I'm Tammy. I'm from Newport News, and I just won a $5,400 jackpot from Rosie's.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm from West Virginia, and I won $99,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
Are you ready? Learn more about Rosie's rewards and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-888-532-3500.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's the top news of the day.
This show knows things before anybody else is transmitting it. I said 5 minutes after we make a deal, the price of crude oils can go down $20 a barrel. Well, it went down $20 a barrel today. It did. 15 days from now, and if it looks like we have a good deal, it'll go down another $25 a barrel.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
And that's a good sign for us, obviously, and for the free world.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging supplements clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
Trio with
It's
Wisconsin
finally
Avenue.
here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, My Pillow mattresses and My Pillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's gonna ship absolutely free.
To take advantage of the second annual mega sale, go to mypillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla.
John Frederick.
It is the most egregious thing I've seen in a lifetime.
President Trump.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
When politics start getting wild.
They want to have every single thing that you don't want. Raise taxes, men and women's sports. They're going to open up their border.
Trump hits the speed dial.
Thank you for calling in on such short notice.
You came first, John.
Wake up with the John Frederick Show weekday morning, 6 Eastern, 5 Central on JFMN.TV, the massive J-Fred radio network, and all across the social.
You came first, John. Thank you very much, and you do a great job.
Don't touch that dial. You found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
Well, you got him. I'm John Fredericks, and I am your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables. Thanks for being with us. Well, it's Tuesday. It's the Texas Truth Line, and we're still waiting for Matt Rinaldi to get in. We'll get him in a couple of minutes. We've got the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas with us, Abraham George. We got anybody else on there, Tyler? There's my graphic, the Texas Truth Line. That's right. Oh, Abraham looking good in the graphic there. Matt Rinaldi and Paul James let's see, we've got only Abraham on so far. Okay. So maybe we'll get Matt in a couple of minutes when I'll get around to it and get a second there. I'll text it. So Abraham George, chairman of the Texas GOP, is just you and I on the Texas Truth Line, baby. Let's go.
Oh man, that's a lot of trouble. I'm telling you.
I know. Okay, well, let's get right to it. Let's get right to it. The other day, President Trump, he's on his way in a couple hours. He'll be flying to China, so we don't expect anything this week. Your runoff is, what is it? May what? May 27th? 27th?
6th.
May 26th.
Yep.
Today's the 12th. 2 weeks by my math. You got 2 weeks.
About right, yeah.
And the other day, President Trump says, I'm likely to make an endorsement in the runoff for Senate. Now, he's on his way in a couple hours to Beijing. I wouldn't expect him to make it this week when he's got other things to do. But it is a long flight over there. Maybe he'll send a truth out. But all the speculation, obviously, is Chris LaCivita runs the Cornyn operation. LaCivita is very close to the president, was his campaign manager, co-manager, and chief consultant. Also is the consultant over MAGA Inc. It's got $300 million. So he runs that, runs the PAC. Very powerful friend of mine, as you know. Go back with him forever, 20 plus. He also got the endorsement for one of the congressional candidates over one of the candidates that we've got coming up on our show. So look, Abraham, all the speculation is that if Trump makes an endorsement, he's not going to go against LaCivita, and it's going to be for Cornyn, which could send MAGA into a frenzied tailspin. It's a tough spot to put you in, but you're the chairman, and you've got to reconcile all this. What's going to happen here?
Well, I hope President won't get into the race, to be honest with you. We've had that issue in the past when President endorsed all 86 House members, Republicans, and there were so many people running against the incumbents. The people who were running against incumbents were the real MAGA. It turned into a real mess for us. Again, a lot of people who got endorsed by President Trump won. Some of them lost. President won Texas by 14 points in his reelection. And so he's loved. People like him. People like his style. So this is going to be a problem if he endorses either one of them, to be honest with you. That's going to be one of those things that is going to disenfranchise a lot of people basically in their hearts and say, you know what, I like Cornyn, President endorsed Paxton, or vice versa. And that would make a lot of people stay home. And it's a runoff. To runoff, it's starting with, it's a very low turnout election. And if you have a real divisive race, which this is one of them, and Mace Middleton, Chip Roy is another one, when you have that, you're looking at a lot of emotional people showing up to the polls, and they're either all in for Paxton or all in for Cornyn, and having the president weigh in on it. Texas, that's different. We don't really like others telling us what to do. Trust me, I know I've gone through these cycles a few times. So I don't know how this is going to turn out for us and what it does to our November election. So that's my bigger concern than the runoff itself.
So your concern is an endorsement either way will dispirit some of your voters and they won't be as fired up going into the next round in November. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, they like to make their own decisions. Texas voters are not normal people who you see in California, other places. They don't just click the button based on the DNR or one of the others. they're very educated, and the TV ads and everything else, people really know what they're looking at. I can promise you, like 70% of the voters that are coming up to the runoff have already made up their mind. See, these billions of dollars of money that going into TV ads and mailers are for that 30% who is going to finally make that decision on the day of. So it's going to be one of those things that we're really concerned about how bad this division is and what it means for the November election.
I just don't see the purpose of this, candidly. Abraham, George, you guys got all the momentum right now. This is a very spirited runoff. I spent, 2 weeks there on a bus tour.
Yep.
I just couldn't meet anybody that was for Cornyn. I must have talked to 100 people. It was like 99 to 1. So, and I just went out there to talk to grassroots people as we traveled around the state. I think absent of an endorsement, Paxton's going to win this race. The local polls that are out now all show Paxton with a lead. Are those polls real? And do you see that as well?
Yeah, I talked to last night. I was at an event. There was about 150 people there. This was a campaign event for myself, and I brought up John Cornyn and Paxton election, and I just said, just wasn't scripted. I just said, how many of you are supporting Cornyn? How many of you are supporting Paxton? And these are grassroots people who are coming to convention, precinct chairs, volunteers. I would say almost 99% just raise their hand for Paxton. And they're not ashamed of it. They're not thinking about it. They're all in.
Did you say 90%?
More than that. I did not see anybody. So I said, okay, who's supporting Paxton? And there's like a couple of people. We haven't made up our mind yet. But it's very small number of grassroots who are on the other side. So I don't see how these polls could be wrong, and Cornyn's people are saying that. So I'm not sure. I'm not running any of those polls. I understand his campaign is very competent. They have plenty of money. They've hired some of the best people. You mentioned one. So we'll see how that all plays out.
So I guess my question is, I don't think for the president putting that Truth Social out, I don't think there's only two chances. He does nothing or he endorses Cornyn. I don't think there's any chance he'd endorse Paxton, not with La Savita on the other side. So that's just not going to happen. I don't think. This is just look, I have no inside knowledge here. I haven't talked to Chris, but on this topic, talked to him other stuff, not on this topic. It's not appropriate for me to ask him that. But I don't see where he would go against Chris. So he'd either stay out of it or do nothing. So here's the question, Abraham, George. If Trump endorses Cornyn, can Paxton still win, or does that end this race?
No, I think he can still win. The reason I say that, I don't know if you saw Scott Pressler is very open about coming to Texas and running rallies for Ken. And I think he is showing up this week. I've talked to him a couple days ago and asked me for contacts in different places. And he put out a X post yesterday saying, if Trump were to endorse Cornyn, would you still support Paxton? And it's a poll. It's on X, so obviously it's people from all over the world can chime into it. But I think the numbers came out like 76 or 77% said yes, I'm still supporting Paxton. So a good amount of people out there are like, we really know what we want to do on this race. We are not worried about anything else. Other races, Mace Middleton, Chip Roy race, that's different because people look at both of them and say, oh, they're both conservative. Now, trying to figure out who's going to be a better fighter as an AG is going to be the deal. And some people believe it is Chip, some people believe it is Mace. So that's a different angle. It's not Rhino versus, a conservative. That's not the narrative there. In this race, that's the narrative. You like it or not, Paxton's people will call Cornyn as a Rhino, and Cornyn's people will call Paxton for, all his baggage from the past. So that's the issue. That's basically the campaign at this point. And like Scott Pressler is saying, other leaders are saying, we're still supporting Paxton because we think he's the fighter we need representing Texas.
Yeah, this is like almost feels like a forced potential era. Like I just don't see the value in an endorsement for the president. I could see it for either candidate. Obviously, they both want it, but I don't know what that does for MAGA Inc. I don't know what it does for the. I mean, obviously, other than Chris Lasavita gets his endorsement, which is, I mean, this is business he's in. I get it, but I don't know where it does anything for anybody. I mean, let the voters of Texas decide, and it is what it is. And if Cornyn wins, fine. And I don't think he is, but if Paxton's going to win, I mean, the only reason to do this would be, hey, the Senate's hanging in the balance, so we have polls that show that Cornyn is going to win and Paxton is going to lose to Terralico, right? That would be the only plausible reason. But those polls don't show that. They don't show that.
They don't show that. There is a narrative in D.C. I've heard that from so many of my friends in D.C. and other states that, oh man, we hope Cornyn wins because we can't lose that seat. That's not true. It does not matter who is the nominee. They're going to win in Texas. The numbers show that Texans are not pushing to get a guy in Senate that says God is non-binary, that he wanted open borders and he thinks the border is illegal and it's immoral by biblical standards. That's what he says. So no Texan wants to do that. Even the Democrats don't want that. So they're going to stay home when that happens. So it does not matter who's our nominee. We can put anybody up and they will win that Senate seat. That would be the only reason. Or the other is, something like SAVE Act. If President Trump is cutting a deal with Cornyn to say, if I do this for you, you're going to come in for me with all of these things. So that could happen. But for the president, I don't see any benefits by getting involved in this race. But obviously, for either candidate, they want it. That's true.
Look, we're with Abraham George. Abraham is the chairman of the Texas GOP. This is the Texas Tuesday, Texas Truth Line. Waiting for Matt Rinaldi. Briscoe Kane is going to come on in a couple of minutes, running for Congress. But Abraham, I mean, I think you nailed it here. The only way, because this whole narrative about Cornyn can win and Paxton can't's nonsense, right? It's just nonsense. I mean, Terralico is not gonna win that seat. The guy's nuts. Okay, look at some of the things he said. He's crazy. So Terralico is not going to win. This is a red seat, so it's no matter who else. Who do you want in the Senate? And as far as the SAVE Act, I don't know what Cornyn could do. He would have to convince Thune and 25 other senators to get rid of the filibuster, which they're not going to do. So even if he said, okay, I'm going to vote to get rid of the filibuster, you still need another 20 senators and you don't have Thune. So that's, even if he said he was going to do it, he can't do it. So I just can't see the math here.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to figure out I'm pretty astute. I'm trying to figure out, you have no upside, only downside, only sending people, demotivating them at a time where MAGA is on the ascendant with all these redistricting, including Texas. Why would you roll the dice on something you don't need?
Right. And then the other part of this is Paxton, Ken's been on President Trump's side all along. Since he was elected, during his campaign, Ken was one of the people who was on his side. During his impeachment, during his trial in New York, Ken actually showed up to New York and sat with him at the courtroom. So it's not like President don't know who Ken Paxton is. So you're really alienating a long-term ally for DC narrative. And I don't think that's President Trump. He's very loyal. At least that's what I've been told and seen. So I don't know. I hope he doesn't get involved in this race. to be honest with you, because Texans like to make their own decisions and they like to show up and cast the ballot and move on. And, once they have made that decision, they will get behind whoever it is. But when they see big money, outside influence kind of coming into Texas, they get really upset. I went through that with some of our party stuff. They're not very happy about other people getting involved that are not from
I
Texas.
just don't know why you would take the chance of upsetting your base in Texas and actually across the country. I mean, there's no upside. Like, it's like when I didn't like, I'm Catholic, so I didn't like the president, sending troops and criticizing the Pope. And it's not because I've look, the Pope should be about the gospel, but I understand if he's got his personal opinions, like, I don't really care, right? Doesn't matter to me, but he still represents the Catholic Church. And my position with the president in criticizing him in social media was, did that gain us a vote? Did we get a vote from that? Did somebody say, well, I was not going to vote for the Republicans or Trump, but now I am because he blasted the Pope? No. At worst, you're even. At best, at best, you're even. At worst, you lost Catholic voters for no reason. Like, let the Pope say what he wants and go do the gospel. So I just don't see where this gains us anything. And Pax is going to win anyway. So that's potentially embarrassing, especially after you just kicked everybody's butt in Indiana. I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah, Indiana was amazing, right? And people were energized. The president did the right thing, calling on all the rhinos and telling them, hey, move on. We've got good people, MAGA people coming in. And this will be the opposite of that in Texas. And this will be looked at by grassroots as the opposite of that. And they will look at it as, this is what money is talking. This is what DC swamp is. This is what, what they need, because there are very few people who are excited about Cornyn's candidacy. Most people are excited about Paxton's candidacy. So the excitement for Republicans to show up in November to defeat Talarico, you need that exciting candidate. We are not trending blue, but we're not 80% Republican in Texas. We're 52, 55, 60, depends on the cycle. And when you have gas prices still at about $4, it's a tough race that we're about to face in Texas. So we need all the excitement. We need all the help we can get. And this is not helpful at all.
I agree. Break down the Attorney General's race.
Well, in that race, if President endorses one person or the other, I don't think it will change. I don't think it will hurt a lot of people's feelings, and they will say, well, Chip's he's a conservative, he's a fighter. I'm with him, or I'm against him, but he's going to be a great AG for us. Same thing with Mace. That race is still. I know Chip's race have gained a lot of points over the last week and a half. I saw him a couple days ago at a fundraiser, and he's excited. He's like, Abraham, we're going to make it. So I see things are moving in his direction, and within about a few days, people starting to cast their ballots, and that race is still to be called. There is no way we can tell he's going to win or Mace is going to win or Chip is going to win. I know in your show a few weeks ago, we talked about it and Chip was there, and you asked me after the show, who do you think? And I was very open and honest with you by saying Mace have a better chance because he almost have unlimited amount of money to spend on this race, but numbers look better for Chip today.
Well, he's closing, and when you're closing, that's a good sign. He's really closed the gap in the last 8-9 days and 5 days. He's picked up. So when you got the momentum and you're closing, you got 2 weeks to go. You don't want to peak too early. I don't think he's done. I think he's peaking right now. But look, there's 2 weeks to go. The people that we talked to there, everybody had made their mind up. I just don't think a Trump endorsement. I mean, I believe that if he endorses Cornyn, I think it's it's not helpful. But I think Paxton is going to win. And then what does that do? That doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
So Paxton's going to win anyway. If you want to endorse the winner, endorse Paxton, but he's not going to do that. Not with Lassa Vita there. So it's going to be interesting. But I didn't think Chip was going to pull this off. But looking at the shift in the numbers in the final week, Abraham, you and I have been following this stuff a long time. He who or she who breaks late wins. And that's what's happening here. Chip is breaking late. He's got the momentum. And then, maybe the candidate that's opposing with all the unlimited funds, dumps a bunch of money in the final week. That can certainly make a difference. They may have held back to think they were in good shape. And now they dump a bunch of money in. You get 6 mailers in 6 days or something. So that could happen. TV ads all over the place. We'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be close. Okay, got to go to a short break. When I get back, we've got a candidate for Congress on that well, running, and that is Briscoe Cain, running for Congress. He's in a tight race. This is one of these 5 districts. He's MAGA, and he is neck and neck with another candidate managed by Lassa Vita, who President Trump endorsed. So we're back to that again. You just can't get out of it. We'll be right back. Abraham and Briscoe Cain.
Ponder this. We intake oxygen every time we breathe, and breathing is how we stay alive. When God first created man, he breathed life into him. Our Lord also breathed spiritual life into his apostles and filled them with the Holy Spirit at the first Pentecost. Oxygen is a source of life both physically and spiritually. It's the same with fire. Oxygen is needed in order to keep a fire burning, which begs the question, are you on fire for the Lord, or has your spiritual oxygen been extinguished? To answer this, we must go to the source. The source of our spiritual oxygen is the Lord himself. Without him, there is no life within us. Those are his words, not mine. We are called to tap into this life source by baptism, daily prayer, and receiving the sacraments, especially Holy Communion if you are a Catholic, in the state of grace. If we tap into this life source every day, our lives will be filled with the love of the Lord, our spiritual oxygen. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendment, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
All right, folks, I need you to do something right now. Go to johnfredericksradio.com and take our brand new 2028 Republican presidential straw poll. Who do you want leading the ticket? Don't let the elites decide. Make your voice heard. While you're there, weigh in on 2 huge issues: eminent domain reform and President Trump's tariff policies. Are they protecting American workers or hurting growth? This is your movement, your vote, your voice, your choice. Go to johnfredericksradio.com right now and take the poll.
This is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. We got a wonderful email from one of our customers up east named Joe, and here's what he had to say. I started taking Solti almost out of desperation with little hope because I was resigned to the futility that although I was up to taking 2 statins a day, high cholesterol was something I just had to learn to live with. In fact, when I turned 60, after taking a stress cardio test, my doctor called me on a Saturday, which of course is never a good sign, and told me that I was clogged more than 95% of the people my age. I had had an angioplasty and a stent procedure done at that time. Today, my stubborn triglycerides are only 1/3 of what they had been before starting taking Solti. My prescription statin dosage has shrunk from 60 milligrams to only 10 milligrams a day. My primary care doctor that I have had for many years still can't believe the results, and neither can I. Thank you, Solti, for providing such a wonderful product. And folks, I want to invite you to take care of your heart also by going to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. Use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% discount on your initial shipment. Thanks so much.
How much did you win at Rosie's Gaming Emporium?
Hi, I'm Jerry from Richmond. I won a $23,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
I'm Tammy. I'm from Newport News, and I just won a $5,400 jackpot from Rosie's.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm from West Virginia, and I won $99,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
Are you ready? Learn more about Rosie's rewards and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-888-532-3500.
I would rather play with 10 people and just get penalized all the way until we got to do something else, rather than play with 11 when I know that right now that person is not sold out to be a part of this team. It is more about them than it is about the team. Cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it.
He's the voice of Virginia.
No, you can't. You have one of the worst voices I've ever heard in my life.
And the commander of common sense.
Fire at will, Commander.
Now back to the John Fredericks Show.
Well, you got him. Back at you. Texas Truth Line with us. Joining us again, second segment, Abraham George, chairman of the Texas GOP. Matt Rinaldi should be with us today. He had something come up at work, so we'll see him again next week. Same thing with Paul George, but don't worry about it. We're good to go because, something happened to my camera here. I have no earthly idea what just happened to that. So while I'm fixing that, let's get on Chairman Abraham George, and let's also get on our candidate for Congress, which is Briscoe Kane. Briscoe, thanks for joining us. I'm going to fix my camera. And we're going to let Abraham handle a couple of this here. But tell us about your race in Texas. Where is it? Frame your district, and tell us about why you think you're the MAGA candidate in this race in Texas.
Yeah, howdy, and good morning. Look, Abraham and I, of course, would know each other. I've been a member of the Texas legislature for I guess going on a decade now. And I've been watching Abraham kind of lead our party into a great and kind of a beautiful new direction where the conservatives, the grassroots are finally in charge. I know he's got a fight coming up, and I'm with him. But this race is the new 9th congressional district. Used to be a little known guy, threatens people with his cane, named Al Green. So he came from a kind of a South Central. A Houston seat over to East Harris County, and includes Liberty County as well. Now, East Harris County is a place, of course, that I've grown up and spent my whole life. That's where the Houston Ship Channel is. These are about as blue collar as you get. Right? It's not just welders, but these are plant refinery operators. We make America move. It accounts for about 24% of the state's GDP, with a bit of a little rural flair. And having spent the last decade being somebody that was proud to stand up and fight the establishment, I find myself doing it again. It's okay. My first campaign, we took out a 14-year incumbent. We're outspent 10-1. We had that in momentum. We won by 23 votes in a runoff in the end, so it's certainly doable. Hopefully, we can prevail by more than 23 votes, but I'm totally confident that's easy.
Well, listen, let me just ask you this. You're kind of in the same position here that Chairman Abraham George and I were talking about the Ken Paxton potential endorsement of Trump to Cornyn. President Trump has endorsed your Republican opponent in this race. You would think that's the end of it. LaCivita is her general consultant, Chris LaCivita. But the polls come out. This thing is neck and tied. I mean, how do you overcome a Trump endorsement, all the money that comes with it, all the prestige that comes with it? How do you stay competitive in this thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's certainly not easy. It requires work, and it's not hard to explain to people that you believe that that decision was made with bad data, right? I think most people are willing to go, yeah, sometimes I disagree with the guy. That's okay. He's still our president. We still support him, and so I don't think it's that difficult of a thing. You just got to be able to communicate with those um, right, those voters and explain your position and show why your opponent was a known never Trumper in 2022 and magically has changed their stripes by spending gobs of money and hiring the right people. And as Abraham was discussing kind of in that last segment, I think voters are growing leery of that and they're starting to smell it. And you can see it. You can see it on the airwaves. You can see it in the mailbox. And people start to get a little fishy when they're going, this looks like a lot of money. This doesn't make sense. That person is not really who we think they are. They can tell a fraud, and I believe the mask is beginning to slip.
So when you say bad data, Abraham, what is he talking about? Bad data.
Oh, for me, I'd be talking about bad data on who a person is, right? Bad information, right, of what someone's biography is. And sometimes these are fancy looking biographies, right? We got a Harvard Law degree, West Point graduate. Those they're nice sounding things. But you look any further, that's all there is nice resume builders, complete empty shell, having never done anything, having quit practically everything she's ever started. And then, of course, being a super legitimate moderate, admittedly so. And that's who everybody knew she was. We had her run as the county judge candidate in Harris County, a purple county. She was chosen as a purple candidate. This is not a purple seat. Okay, this is the county. This is the agriculture side of Harris County. These are my Texas House seat, which is the reddest seat here. These people aren't into that woke nonsense, and she needs to keep that stuff in Houston where she lives.
Oh well, that's pretty much an indictment. Abraham, George, how do you navigate your way through all that? I mean, when Matt's on, it's easy. He can just say what he thinks. I mean, you're kind of in a rock and a hard spot here as chairman because, you got to stay somewhat neutral between the candidates. But, Kane here is making a pretty compelling argument for his case.
Well, Don, here's the thing. Yeah, I've never been shy about speaking my mind. So Briscoe, I've known him for a few years now. One of the things he did in Texas House this last session, you got to give this guy a lot of prop for this. We, as the convention, said we are going to close our primaries. Briscoe, who's been a senior Texas House member, has been there about almost a decade. I think it was about a decade. He went and filed a bill for it. Not a lot of people who's been in the House for that long was open to even discussing it. He went and filed the bill for it. He actually pushed for it. We had a China land ban bill, SB 17. He was a front runner in advocating for that, making that happen, which basically stopped China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia from buying up Texas land, farmland here in Texas. So this guy is the MAGA definition of Texas. So Alex Mueller, I know her. Like Briscoe said, she was chosen as a purple candidate for Harris County. So President Trump endorsed her, and this is same situation as where it would be with John Cornyn versus Paxton. Briscoe is the MAGA guy. Alex have a lot more money and the right people when it comes to the campaign. But like Briscoe said, he's going to win this mainly because the people really, at the runoff elections, people really know what they're doing. They're not the voters that shows up in November. The November people are just showing up because they see a bunch of signs in front of the library and they're like, oh yeah, there's an election going on. I got to go do something about it. So they pull in and take a cast a ballot. There's a lot of that going on in Texas. But primary elections and runoff elections, especially the runoff, these are people who've made up their mind already. And the only question at this point is, are you going to show up? Because they casted a ballot in the primaries. Are you going to show up again in May to do it again? So I think Briscoe got this. I'm looking forward to working with him as a congressman, and he's going to be an amazing congressman for Texas.
How can we help you, Briscoe? You there? We lost your audio.
Maybe you could start making sure the Astros do better. That would be a good start.
Oh God, 10 games under 500. We haven't seen that since 24 when we got off to that miserable start. We've scored 1 run. Let's see, 2 runs in 3 games. I mean, you can't win when you don't score. I mean, the pitching it hasn't been that bad. 3 runs on Saturday. We gave up 3 runs to Seattle. 1 inning, somebody hits a 3-run homer, game's over. I mean, you can't win scoring 1 run a game. Our entire pitching staff is decimated with injuries. Pena's out, Correa's out. You look at that lineup, you got like 5 guys that probably should be in Double-A. I mean, it's just pathetic. It's sad. It's a sad situation. I don't know how we get out of it.
Going. I thought I might get you going on that, John. It's your natural kind of thing. I mean, you sound like a fine sports announcer. But helping me, whether or not you literally help me individually, whether that's by visiting our website or follow us on social medias. My name is Briscoe Cain. It's BriscoeCain if you're listening and not watching. But be smart yourself, guys. Start to question these things. If you're seeing primaries going right now and maybe see some stuff that's too good to be true, or looks like there's some, desperation, look into it, right? Question it. Kind of follow the money, right? If you're getting a bunch of money from Jeff Bezos's family, that's the tough part, right? Like if you see this nice shiny mailer and it's got a super PAC on it, go and maybe ask some good, AI who the money's behind it. You might find out the patriotic fund's actually Jeff Bezos. You might find defending our values is actually Anthropic. You might find out some of these. Keep looking a little deeper. You're going to find out that you're being tricked. Don't fall for it. So yeah, do your homework, guys.
Listen, I love what Abraham George said. He said, when you're voting in a runoff, it's not like you pass a library. What'd you say? You pass the library, you see vote here.
A bunch of signs.
It's not the way it works in a Texas runoff. I gotta tell you guys, I have a bunch of these different segments. This is actually my favorite segment, is the Texas Truth Line, because I learn so much. And actually, so tell me about. I know that Abraham George, he's tough not to back. I mean, I'm 100% in for the guy's reelection. He's a great chairman, and he has to win. But tell us about, how did you get finally closed primaries, and when does that actually start? When does that happen?
Well, once the session was over, we went and filed a lawsuit because all of these bills there were 6 bills that were filed by Briscoe and a few others, and that didn't get a committee hearing. It didn't go anywhere. We were expecting at least a committee hearing. It didn't go anywhere. So we went and filed a lawsuit in federal court saying that the Republican Party had the right to associate with the Republicans only. And if Barack Obama comes to Texas this week and say, I'm running for a congressional district XYZ, the party doesn't have a mechanism to stop him. So that's what we're looking for. And we want people like Briscoe elected by Republicans. So it's not too much to ask that our nomination process have to be done by our own people. And Briscoe's opponent have the unlimited dollars that are coming from Jeff Bezos and all the other groups. They send out this mailer saying they're the conservative, and to the Republicans, they could send out a mailer to the moderates saying, I'm the middle of the aisle person. So it all depends on that game. Mm-hmm. We just want to have Republican, real conservatives electing or nominating, because it's really a nomination process, because you still have to run against a Democrat.
Right.
Nominating our people. That's the whole closed primaries. And hopefully we will get that in the next couple of months, because once the runoff elections are over, I think the federal court is going to make a decision on it.
Yeah, John, and here's why it's important. Look, the state party, at least in the last really kind of maybe decade or so, has become very, very grassroots focused, and increasingly so, where it's being controlled. While traditionally in years past it had been the big kind of the corporatists and those who kind of showed up with the most money. Now that's a difficult balance. Of course, Chairman George is having a fundraise from those big guys and hope they'll fund it at the same time saying, but you're not in charge, right? The people are still in charge. And the closed primary system reinforces that concept, that it's the grassroots, the base, they're in charge. It's not the moneyed interests that are in charge. It's not outside interests. It's the people who have their voice in it, and it fully ensures that that voice is heard. And look, I think there's a very solid constitutional claim on it. And sadly, the legislature is unwilling to do it themselves. And sometimes when there's a lack of courage on that, I guess we look at the courts. We shouldn't be looking at the courts for policy, but look, this is something that I think the First Amendment and the similar Texas provision on the freedom of association makes pretty clear. They should have the right to do so.
Well, let me just ask you this: if you win this suit, you still have to. It still has to pass the Texas legislature, and your speaker is basically elected by the Democrats. So, how do you get that? Even if you get the thing out of committee, how does it get passed?
So it doesn't have to go to the legislator. Sorry about that. The court can tell the Secretary of State, who is the administrator of elections in Texas, all we are asking is, we have a registration process now. You have to register to vote. All we are asking is have a checkbox say, I'm a Republican. And they can do that without going to the legislator. But knowing the legislator, they would want to get involved and make it complicated more than that. So they will do that. But we don't really need the legislator because we went through the legislative process and we didn't get what we want. That's why we're at court. And the court now can go tell the SOS, say, give them the checkbox that says, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, independent, whatever it is. So that's all we're looking for. So we don't really need the legislator, but legislator will get involved.
But of course, the Democrats, they want to keep it open. Why? Not close.
Democrats want to keep it open because they don't have big seats and they have no statewide in Texas. So they would want to influence the elections by casting a ballot for the most moderate Republican. And that's our problem. This is one of the reasons we have moderates in Texas House. That's why we have moderates in Congress. We have moderates everywhere. And that's because the Democrats get involved in our election.
Well, that's why you have a rhino speaker, right? Because he got elected by a majority of the Democrats.
Different process, but same concept. Yes,
right. Same concept.
Members of the Democrat caucus. Yes.
So Briscoe Cain, when you got a 2-week runoff in your segment of Harris County, which is out, I understand, towards the water, where are you concerned that they pull the Texas two-step, if you will? It's actually called the Mississippi two-step, and try to get Democrats that didn't vote previously in their primary to come and cross over and vote for your opponent, along with Cornyn?
Yeah, I hope not, but I mean, we are hearing that kind of that rumbling from the the anti the anti-school choice, the anti kind of social nuclear family groups. Those are rumbling for sure. Now, of course, you can't have voted the Democrat primary a few months ago in order to be able to vote. But we do see that, especially where kind of I'm located. This district actually has, if anybody remembers, a group called Acorn.
Yes.
It's been
right.
It's in the district.
Wow. So there's no party registration. So like your opponent's consultants they can't target Democrats who didn't vote in the Democrat primary a month and a half ago.
Yeah, well, that's why you continue to have a mealy mouth moderate message trying to appeal to that part of your voter base, right? I mean,
but they can't really identify who they are because they're not on the voter rolls by party registration.
You can still message to them.
You can message to them.
Very obvious that these are, they're looking outside of it. Look, similar to the Cornyn campaign, they're not running messaging on the red meat things that inspire Republicans. The reason we show up. In fact, that should be the concern later in November. It's about who inspires, and that's clearly coming from the Paxton camp. Okay, and the reason we should be concerned with the weak kneed Republicans in November is because of that lack of inspirational message, the lack of just get up and go. Right? I think half these guys realize they get their primary over with and their knees hurt and they don't want to keep working. Well, we don't have time for that. You got to be the kind of person that's ready to put in 25-hour days over and over again until you run to the finish line. Those are the kind of candidates we need across the board. We are at war here, right? This isn't some relaxed time. I think it's the Republicans of a bygone era that have us in a position where the state began to slip. One, because they took the grassroots for granted, and two, they had weak messages that don't inspire people.
No question about it. I mean, it's just and I mean, it seems like to me. I mean, I'm not familiar with it, but it seems like the thought process in endorsing your opponent early on was because, well, it's kind of a purple district. She's a moderate. She's got a better chance of winning. We need to hold the House. Better having a moderate that votes for Mike Johnson than a Democrat that votes basically for Hakeem Jeffries. But you're going to win this seat anyway. This is a Republican seat, right? What is the new district is R plus what?
It's a 60. Yeah.
I mean, it's a 60-40 seat. So what was the point of endorsing somebody that's not going to do anything for you when you're going to win the seat anyway? This is what I don't understand about the whole Cornyn thing. Like, Paxton's going to win this seat. He's going to win the Senate. I mean, the whatever your district did, what is it, 28? District
Yeah,
what?
well, I represent House District 128, but this is the 9th congressional district. Look, you're accurate, John. The moneyed interest in D.C., the swamp, the thing that so many great folks have to go up there and try and eke it out, and I think our president's doing his darndest, still want yes men. They want people they can control in their continued war against the American people and their globalist agenda. It's very obvious when you start to look at where support and money flows in and where things are getting blocked. That's even a more fascinating thing. I thought the Austin swamp was deep. I was not prepared for what I'm beginning to see in Washington, D.C. I mean, for some reason, I thought things might be about merit and character and integrity. I was foolish for that.
Boy, that's naive. Well, I hope you come here and we'll be friends. I live in Washington, D.C. My studio is 2 blocks from the White House. I'd love to have a friend here. But wait till you get here. I mean, you're not going to be here 2 weeks until you get what the deal is here, man. It is incredible. The money that flows out of these lobbyist shops, it is incredible. So you won't be there 1 week, and they're going to pull up in your office with the $20,000 Italian Armani suits and the $19,000 Rolex watches, and they'll pull up in a limo and they'll come to the office 3 at a time. Yeah. I want to be a fly on the wall for that.
That sounds fun. Let's go. We'll yell at some TVs about the Astros. Okay, that'll be a good time.
We suck. It's so bad. I mean, here it is. What is it? May 12th. Basically, we're 10 games under 500, and yeah, everybody could come back. And so the only hope here is that the whole division's pathetic. We're the most pathetic of the pathetic. That's the only good thing. Misery loves company. I'm now rooting against the A's every night. Like, who cares what the A's do? Now they're first place. Unbelievable. All right, guys, thank you. Briscoe Kane, people want to follow you quickly. Where do they go?
Not hard to find me, Briscoe Kane. If you find another one, it's a fake.
All right, I'm going to Abraham's convention with Belza. I'm going, baby. I want this guy to win. You guys are the best, the Texas Truth Line. I have so much fun on this show. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Astros.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week. Good luck.
Good to see you, Briscoe.
Oh, God. Michael Patrick Leahy next.